Compare cheap van insurance quotes that really do cut the mustard at mustard.co.uk. Details online, authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Volvo. Here, wherever and whenever you need them. Visit them in store or online. It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good afternoon and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Scotland kick off a new qualification campaign. It's Cyprus at Hampden. First up, as Stevie Clark's side look to get the group up and running with a win. There is a playoff place already in the bag, but getting through via the traditional route remains the priority. It's a new era in goal. Is this the start of the road to a second successive Euros? I'm Gordon Duncan. Joining me in the studio is Gordon Daziel and Mark Wilson.
A big day ahead for a new campaign, new contract for the Scotland manager, new goalkeeper. It's a big one to hang on, where are you at to change mics? I'm back. You didn't miss anything.
What were you saying there?
Nothing. I was saying it was a big day ahead. New contract for the new manager, new goalkeeper, making his first start for Scotland in a new campaign. What's not to look forward to today? I think we've got enough on the side to get the job done today. Probably bigger games ahead, but it's important we get a good start.
Yeah, big few days coming up, 2 home games. It's really important we go off to a positive start. I'm with Mark. I've seen the team. I'm very happy with the side. I think it's very attacking formation as well. Looking forward to goals.
Yes, absolutely. A 2 o'clock kick-off, a nice novelty for us. I don't think we've had many, if any, Saturday afternoon qualifiers to look forward to in the last few years. A traditional slot in your footballing week. So sit yourself back, enjoy the build-up. We'll take you through the action, and of course the chance for you to have your say on the phones as well. A massive game for Steve Clark, for Scotland. A new era, a new qualification campaign. How will this one pan out? It's always such an interesting time, sort of psychologically, Mark, when you start a campaign, because it's been quite a few months since the last competitive action. You know, international football goes on the back burner. But this is a sellout at Hampden today. All of these games are sold out pretty much already. That tells you that there is still something there. There is a feel good, if you like, off the back of a Euros, then getting to a World Cup playoff. Granted, that then didn't go to plan, but there still seems to be something there. It's a sold out Hampden this afternoon.
Well, I get Steve Clark still gets some criticism for not getting us to the World Cup finals. He got us to the Euros, obviously, but there is optimism from the fans, and I think you can see that, like you said, Gordon, from the amount that are going along to Hampden today against Cyprus, a team, like I said the other night, 110th in the world. Now, years gone by, I believe that could have been a half empty stadium. People would have lost interest and not really cared about it, but I believe that the fans are behind this Scotland side. The majority are behind Steve Clark, and they can see that we've got a good squad, but you know, you need to get off to a good start to reinforce that belief and give the fans something to carry into Tuesday, which is obviously going to be a harder task. So I like a lot about Scotland at the minute. I like that the fans are there in their numbers, and I like the team or the squad of players that were assembled.
It's vital, Gordon, isn't it? Because it's all right saying it's a long campaign and a long way to go, but there comes an added pressure. Some people say it's a good thing. You know, you get the lowest seed in your group at home first up. That's ideal for a lot of people, but of course it also brings its own pressure. You simply have to get this group up and running today. Yeah,
because I imagine, and like us guys in the studio, I imagine every supporter going along there to Hampden today will be looking at the 3 points. Of course we will. You know, we had callers on this week, Gordon, talking about we should have plenty of goals. I'm by that. My thing today is get off to a good start, 3 points, a good performance, icing on the cake. Good amount of goals, brilliant. But the most important thing for us going into Spain on Tuesday is get the 3 points on the board this afternoon.
Yeah, and looking at today's game, I mean, we've played Cyprus 7 times, we've won 7 times. Most recent of those games, 2-1 a couple of times, so wasn't as far apart as some people thought. You have to go way back to, we were beating them 5-0 and 8-0. I don't think it'll be like that today. I still think international football has changed over the last decade or a wee bit longer, that the teams are a lot closer. But as long as we keep a clean sheet, which gives belief to Angus Gunn in goals, and we get a few goals, that'll be enough to give us confidence going into next game.
Give us a shout if you're on your way to the game or you're ready to get into Hampden and enjoy it this afternoon. Please get in touch, and we'll mention as many of you as possible. Let's go to the National Stadium though and get team news, because all week long we've been debating it. Who's going to play? Who is going to be the new Scotland goalkeeper? Andrew Mclean and Jim Duffy have the answers.
Yeah, the excitement of the beginning of a new qualification campaign. Cyprus are visitors today, with Spain, Norway and Georgia to come as well. Lots to look forward to, but a big crowd here will be expecting things to kick off with 3 points. That's the focus today, but the SFA have also been looking to the future. You mentioned that Steve Clarke signing a new deal yesterday to take him through to the end of 2026. If he sees that contract out, he'll become the third longest serving manager in Scotland history. He's had some big decisions to make today, Steve Clarke, with team news, and he has made plenty of changes from the game against Turkey. Some of the headlines: Angus Gunn comes straight in for his Scotland debut. There's also a start for Ryan Porteous, his second cap on his birthday as well. Aaron Hickey starts as the right wing back. There's no Lyndon Dykes up top, it's Shea Adams that leads the line. So I'll run through that starting 11. It's Angus Gunn in goal. The back three: Ryan Porteous, Grant Hanley and Kieran Tierney. It's Aaron Hickey and Andy Robertson that are the wing backs. Callum McGregor and Ryan Jack, the two central midfielders. John McGinn and Stuart Armstrong will be pushing forward to support Shea Adams. The substitutes for Scotland for this game: Kelly, Clark, Patterson, McTominay, Dykes, Christie, Hyam, Gilmore, Cooper, Ferguson, Brown and McLean. It's an interesting lineup. Jim Duffy, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think there's any surprise that either Angus Gunn, I know the guys were debating it during the week, but I think when Stevie Clarke went to him and said, look, do you want to play for Scotland? I think, you know, he would have had to have said to him, listen, I'm going to play, you're not going to come and just make up the squad. So I think that you know, whether he's the, you know, the permanent fixture would be another decision to make, but I certainly thought today he would definitely be playing. And also with Lyndon Dykes still not really maybe anywhere near his best, having that bout of pneumonia. So I think Shea Adams was obviously going to be the focal point as well. So yeah, I mean, again, they've got the width with Hickey and Robertson. I think it's likely that Cyprus will play with one striker, so Porteous and Tierney, I think, will have that flexibility to push forward when they have the opportunity with the ball, and they're both very good with the ball, so that gives us kind of extra players into midfield. They can flood the midfield a little bit more, and really, as the guys were saying there, it's about getting the victory. Yeah, I think it will be a little bit tougher than most people expect. Scotland invariably don't make life too easy for themselves when it comes to these type of games, but I think if you look at that team, Andrew, they'll definitely get more than enough quality to be able to win this match.
We're hoping for an exciting game ahead. Kick-off is in 50 minutes time.
Yes, the only place to start is in goal. Mark Wilson, Gordon Daziel. We've debated it all week, in fact a little bit longer. Now we've got the answer, and it's Angus Gunn. Are you surprised in any way? Is that the right call for you?
Yeah, I think I agree with what Jim says. I think if Steve Clarke's going and chapping his door and saying, look, we want you to be part of the Scotland team, I think he's probably been guaranteed to say, right, you're not coming up to be the squad, we're going to give you the number one jersey and it's up to you to hold on to it. Yeah, I think there was a case for all goalkeepers going uncapped to three of them, but I think Steve Clarke looks at Gunn as the best option, and obviously in today, so it's a big day for him.
I mean, only time will tell if it's the right decision. I hope it is. I believe it might be the start of something special. Look, there's not much between all three, so he could have went for probably two of them stood out more than Liam Kelly at this minute. But Steve Clarke, yeah, he's pursued Angus Gunn. He's realised it's a critical position that he needs more covering, and that's why he's opted to go down south and cast the net far and wide. And I hope we've got a good one, because like I said midweek, we have relied heavily on Craig Gordon and Marshall and McGregor for so many years. I know we've got good players in front of them, but we always seem to give up chances, and they've made big saves at crucial moments in games. You only have to look at the penalty shootout where David Marshall sends us to the Euros. You know, relied heavily on him, and it's going to be the same for one of these three, if not others, who come into the squad. So I hope it's the start of something special for Gunn. I don't know how much he'll get trouble today, or how much we'll see him today, but you never know.
I hope you're right. Jim Duffy, it's going to be interesting going forward, because as we've mentioned, this was a proper clean slate. You've got three uncapped goalkeepers, so whoever it was that played today, say they had a slightly below par afternoon, that doesn't mean you then change it again, surely, on Tuesday, or change it again in the weeks that follow. Do you think Angus Gunn's going to at least get a run at this?
But I think he'll get the next today in Spain. I think he'll definitely give him the next couple of games, and I think you've got to do that with a goalkeeper, Gordon. You know, a goalkeeper can make an elementary error. Doesn't mean you just dismiss him because of that. I think it's more difficult, as I said, because you could also play in a game and literally have nothing to do. You know, which you hope is the case for Scotland today. But if you've got nothing to do, you do nothing wrong. But you know, you've not had wonder saves. You go to the other side of it. If the team doesn't play well, you're asked to perform. So yeah, it's a little bit of a tricky one. But listen, you know, if somebody asked me, I would have maybe seen Xander Clark playing, because I think not just with Hearts this year, but I think previously with St Johnstone as well. I think he's been absolutely terrific over the last few seasons. He's had to wait the unfortunate injury to Craig Gordon to get his chance at Hearts. So I would have probably thought that he would have been in pole position. But listen, Stevie's went, as we said. He's looked at the situation. Obviously, everybody knows Brian Gunn, so we knew the player was available for Scotland for a number of years now. But you know, obviously Stevie's convinced him that he thinks that you know, Scotland's the right choice for him now. And the players probably looked at the bigger picture, and I don't think there's anything the matter with that. We have other players in the past that you know, have either decided to play for Scotland later on. I think Lyndon Dykes was one of them. I think initially he wasn't, you know, like you know, certainly was his first choice. You know, obviously being Australian, but he was convinced to come in, and he's done very well. So I don't think we should hold that against him, that he took his time to make the decision. He is available. He's a number one today, and let's hope he goes and does himself justice.
It certainly looks on the face of it like it will be back to the back three, back five, call it what you will, Jim Duffy, which has been the constant source of debate under Stevie Clarke's time. He certainly made it work. It was the formation that got us to our first major tournament in a long time. There were then times that didn't work thereafter. We actually came away from it in some of the last games. The most recent ones went back to a back four, and that seemed to work at times. What do you make of the decision to do so today?
Yeah, again, listen, it's all about your availability, and obviously what you think's the best formation you have for the game ahead of you. It might be different against Spain because of the way they play, but obviously the manager's looked at it and felt that this is the best formation with the players he has at his disposal to try and win this match. As I mentioned, with Kieran Tierney on the left and Ryan Porteous on the right, Hanley in the middle. You know, both of those players are more than comfortable breaking forward with the ball, and I think we'd like to think we'll have more of the ball. In which case, you want those players given that kind of extra impetus. We know that Tierney and Robertson have linked up at times on the left-hand side. Whether Porteous does it with Hickey, we'll have to wait and see. And it allows Callum McGregor and Ryan Jack just to get themselves involved in the play and maybe a little bit higher up the pitch. So yeah, I mean, listen, if we can do that and gives us more opportunities to get the ball in and around the Cypriot penalty box, then it's up to them to see whether we capitalise the chances that come our way. But yeah, I don't have a problem with the three at the back, but I don't think, I think initially it was quite rigid, but I think there's a bit more flexibility now, and I think there's also a bit more flexibility in Stevie's thinking. I don't think it's something that he'll guarantee will be the formation for the next game, and I think that's fair enough. I think it keeps everybody on their toes, and I think it keeps the opposition guessing as well.
Yeah, because I mean, like Mark Wilson, actually some of the time that we've gone to that back four is because either Kieran Tierney or Andy Robertson hasn't been available. Yes, Kieran Tierney's played in a back four as the left centre back option. Some people are very clear on this. Some people think you just play a back four and you just leave one of them on the bench, right? Which is fine, and I'm not disagreeing, but it's perfectly reasonable to acknowledge that if you've got those two at your disposal, you're going to want to try and play them both.
Yeah, but I don't think at the expense of the full thing collapses upon itself, but it clearly doesn't. But Steve Clarke's clearly found a way of doing it, and it's not been simple to do. I'm sure he would have had conversations with both players, particularly Kieran Tierney, saying to him, are you comfortable in this position? Are you happy at left centre back in a three? Because again, people might think that it's the same as playing left back. It's clearly not. You're much narrower at times. It is probably widely known that you probably are more conservative and you sit back and you just back up your wing back. Now Tierney and Robertson have just found a totally different way of playing that role, and that's why it works so well. You've got two outstanding, some could say world class left-sided defenders into our squad. It would be silly not to try and fit them in somewhere, and I think we've fitted them in pretty well. I think Tierney and Robertson get good understanding, and we Hanley and Porteous pace at the back if there was a hole there, and with Jack and McGregor plenty to fill in.
Do you think that's fair, Gordon? Because as the guys have alluded to, on paper, if you like, or generally speaking, because I can see replies here on social media, sort of, back three, back five against Cyprus, that it's negative or whatever. But if one of those three is Kieran Tierney, actually it becomes something entirely different.
I think that's a very attacking lineup. I don't think it's negative. I think Jim makes a good point about the two centre backs on the right and the left, Porteous and Tierney. They can step forward, they're comfortable going into Midley Park. It's basically a 3-4-2-1. Hickey and Robertson will play high up as the wide areas. I love the fact that Armstrong McGinn's in there. I think their timings of the run of Adams causes all sorts of problems. McGregor, Jack control the Midley Park. I think it's a very attacking outfit.
Yeah, I'll sort of work my way from the back forward, so we'll get to the rest of the issues now that we're done with the defensive formation. Jim Duffy, there are lots of different guys have come in at different times and actually done well. You look at Jack Hendry, perhaps in the last couple of games was one of the better performers. He had to pull out of this squad through injury. Even go back to the Denmark game, John Souters played in there. Ryan Porteous came in for his debut against Ukraine, kept the clean sheet, did ever so well, has moved to Watford since, and he keeps his place today. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, again, listen, Ryan Porteous can divide opinion at times, I think, because we saw him with Hibernian, and at times he could have been, his concentration could be questioned. But when he made his debut, an excellent debut for Scotland, he's obviously taken the opportunity to go down south. Still find his feet a little bit at Watford, but Watford's a difficult club because they change the manager so often, and it's maybe systems and that get changed as well. So he's maybe having to adapt to a new life, a new club, but getting back into the Scotland fold. Yeah, I've got no problem with Ryan Porteous, starting the game. I think he does have real qualities, particularly as I said on the ball. He's got that raking diagonal in his locker, which again, if you've got like Andy Robertson hugging that touchline high up the pitch, it's maybe something that we can utilise. As I said, he is comfortable on the ball, and again, we'd like to think we should be in control of large parts of this game. I don't think you can take anything for granted. I think Cyprus have got a new coach, and they'll be looking to try and impress. I think if you look in the own league, I know there's players spread about. We know obviously everybody knows Alec Gogic, but I think that they have a decent core of players without maybe having household names. So I think that for me, no problem with Ryan Porteous stepping in there. Porteous and Tierney, as Gordon had said, they're both very, very capable of breaking with the ball, utilising the ball, and in the ways Stevie Clarke wants to play. They want to build for the back, they want to play through the line, so you need players who are comfortable in the ball to do that, and those two are as comfortable as anybody.
Well, it's all building up at Hampden, as you can hear. 40 minutes to go, pretty much a sellout. In fact, I think it is there at the National Stadium for Scotland against Cyprus. We'll continue the build up next. And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
Action as it happens, and your reaction from 5 on the open line. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Building up to kick off at Hampden, Scotland against Cyprus in the first of the latest batch of Euro qualifiers. It all starts here. There is, remember, a playoff place already in the bag due to the success in the Nations League, but it would be nice to go and do it through the traditional route as well, although there are a few formidable opponents down the line. A certain Spanish side come to Glasgow on Tuesday, and we can worry about Erling Haaland and the likes somewhere down the line. But today it is all about Cyprus. Andrew Mclean has already given you the teams. If you're just joining us, the headline certainly is Angus Gunn will make his debut in goal. Lots been said about his call-up, and now he's in the starting 11. Other headlines, I guess, would include Tierney and Robertson both playing, back to that sort of back three, back five scenario. It's Ryan Jack and Callum McGregor, so often rivals on the club front, but teaming up in the midfield today. And Shea Adams, the man who leads the line. I think even Jim Duffy, just something that we touched on at the top of the show. There's a story to be told here in the fact that it's Cyprus at Hampden, because as fate would have it, and football sometimes throws up these things, Stevie Clarke's first game as Scotland manager was a home game against Cyprus. And in terms of lessons on the pitch that night, it was tight and it took a last minute Ollie Burke winner to get the victory. But there were also 20,000 empty seats that night, and I know it's not the only measurement of success, clearly not, but in the week that Stevie Clarke signed a new deal, it maybe tells a bit of a story, that is a sellout today.
Yeah, I think it was Andy Robertson. I think to say there is a more of a connection now between the fans and the players. I think there has been improvement. Obviously qualifying for the last Euros was a big step, there's no doubt about that, and I think that certainly helped. There's no question. I think it's helped Stevie Clarke get that new deal. We're disappointed about the World Cup and not qualifying for that, but yeah, I mean, I think that there has been positive steps. I think if you look at the players in the squad now, we've got players playing in Italy, the Premier League, the Scottish, obviously the top levels. We've got such an array of talent now that listen, there's always the one area which I think is disrespect to either Shea Adams or Lyndon Dykes, but we maybe don't have that real top quality striker. But in terms of just about every other area, we're strong now, and I think that development under Stevie Clarke has been crucial, and I think he's got the new deal now, so the players know there's going to be continuity there as well. There's going to be continuity in how the preparation is, the style of football, and as I said, and obviously he's got that flexibility now. I mean, in the Euros, if you think about it, just leading up to it, I mean, we're all waxing lyrical about Charlie Gilmer, and obviously he's the one now that Billy Gilmer, and we're looking at a player we thought was going to be our Spanish type of midfielder, if you want to call it that, and he's found himself still in the squad, but struggling for game time. So it just shows you, I think, that how far we've came when we're not looking as if we're missing that type of quality of player.
Yeah, how much does that situation then, if it's not Gilmore, maybe not the best example because he has been left out the team today, but if you look at Kieran Tierney, for instance, I think it's 4 English Premier League starts all season. You look at Stuart Armstrong, sort of in and out the a struggling Southampton team. Scott McTominay's not playing for Man United currently, and so on. We could go. How much of a worry is that for you?
Yeah, there's always a slight worry, I think, just in terms of the tempo and the pace of the game and how they can last. But as I said, we've got a good depth of squad now, Gordon. And I also think, if you look at players that are playing for Arsenal, top of the league, Manchester United, top 3 or whatever. So I mean, they're playing for top clubs. I think at one time, obviously back a couple of decades ago, we had several players playing at top level. But maybe for about a 20-year period, we struggled for players playing at a real top level in English football. But now we've got a sprinkling, obviously John McGinn as well, Aston Villa getting finding a bit more form again, things like that. So yeah, I still think we're very strong, and I still think it's good to see players playing that level. But you're right, I mean, there is obviously a little issue with not having regular game time, but I think that has been the case for a few Scotland players over the years, because just because of the way squads are now and the strength and depth that a lot of the clubs have.
I mean, Mark Wilson, I think it's fairly obvious that you would rather have a scenario that all of your players are playing regularly for their teams, they're playing well for their teams, and even more so, their teams are succeeding as well. That's your ideal world scenario. How far do you take it in terms of finding that balance? We had so many calls last night saying if you're not playing for your club, you shouldn't start for Scotland. I don't care if you're Kieran Tierney or you're whoever, you need to be playing regularly. And I think Hugh Keevins and Kenny Miller were quick to point out, okay, not ideal, but is Kieran Tierney still a better option than someone else? And Billy Gilmore hadn't been playing when he came in at Wembley and was man of the match, and so on. What's your feelings on the lack of game time that some of the squad members have been getting?
Well, obviously it's regrettable that they aren't getting the game time that we would like them to get, but Jim's right, they are playing at top quality sides. I believe you play your best players, and I think guys like Kieran Tierney, who don't get a game regularly at his club, is better than any other option we've got there. And I think we're in a position just now that we can't turn our nose up to those sorts of players. McTominay doesn't play every week for Man United. I know he's on the bench today, but I'd expect him to come in probably on Tuesday night, probably because he's a big game player, and that's the position we're in. So I believe that the quality of players should dictate for us rather than their game time they're getting for top class sides down south.
I don't know any manager or coach that would have the luxury of having these guys. Like you're mentioning Tierney, yes, there's an argument here, not playing a lot of games. Every coach, every manager will go with Tierney today. There's no doubt. There's not got to be a problem. It's a squad game. You've got a lot on the bench. If he starts running out of steam 70-75 minutes, you're better with a 75-minute Kieran Tierney at his best than most of the players in that squad, and not being disrespectful, because he's a top player. So I've no problem. I think that's a good side that Steve Clarke's picked today. I think there are bags of energy in this team.
I suppose the hope has to be, Jim Duffy, that actually, if there are guys who are having a tough time at club level, they find a home in the Scotland team, if you like. There are countless examples over the years. The one that always used to get mentioned was Alan Hutton. He was literally never playing for his club and would come in and do a good turn. There were even times when, you know, James McFadden would be like in and out at club level, and then would be the main man for Scotland, the guy you would pin all your hopes on. So I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, particularly when James went down to Everton. I mean, listen, you've got a similar scenario there with Harry Maguire playing for England, and, you know, not playing really for Manchester United. So, you know, I mean, sometimes managers trust players. They know the players, they know the way they prepare. I mean, as I said, he's training at a top club. He's still involved in games. You know, his fitness is never in doubt. He's a terrifically fit boy. All these kind of things, and I think all of those players, whether it be Gilmour, whether it be McTominay, they're playing a real high intensity. They're training every day, you know. So yeah, of course, in an ideal world, Ryan Christie, all these kind of guys, you want them playing, you know, week in, week out. But I still don't think that you know, you just dismiss players if they haven't played, you know, 20 games before. Sometimes it actually can work in your favour, because you're that delighted to be back playing again a regular game. You've actually got a spring in your step and that natural enthusiasm that sometimes you can, if you've played too many games, you can be a wee bit lethargic. So no, I again, as Mark says, I think you've got a player like that with that kind of quality, then you get him on the pitch whenever you can.
Yeah, I suppose that's it, Mark. We said it's all about balance, finding a balance, because obviously we keep repeating it, you would much rather that they were all playing, but in Kieran Tierney's case, it's not like he's not getting a game for Sheffield United. It's Arsenal he's not getting a game for. He's not getting a game for the best team in England, and he's been kept out by one of the better players across Europe this season.
Of course.
So again, you're finding that balance. Do you leave out a guy that's a little bit short of the Arsenal team to replace him with someone who gets a game every week for Blackburn? You know, these are the decisions that Steve Clarke has to make.
I know, and it's terribly difficult, because that is a conundrum that the fans that called in the show want to see players playing every week, but Steve Clarke will be sure in his mind of the quality that he sees in training every single day when this squad meets up. He knows how good Kieran Tierney is, and it's a competitive edge that Kieran Tierney will get every day in training, coming up against these top class players, even if he isn't getting the game time, that will serve him fine for your national team. There's no doubt about it. And look, when you look at the relationship Tierney struck up with Robertson, I think that plays into it as well, that it wouldn't have even come into Steve Clarke's mind to drop them. He understands that works, that fits. Robertson knows where Tierney is behind him and is comfortable from a defensive point of view, and also that kind of overlapping centre half, which is quite unique. We don't see many teams do that at this level. We've got something special in that case, so I don't think he would ever consider changing that.
I think if you flip it over and say, if he leaves out Tierney, right, I think he would come in for criticism, because people will say we've got one of the best players going about in Kieran Tierney. Yes, the argument said he's not playing regular football, but he's a very, very terrific talent. And when you've got that talent, you've got to play them.
Yeah, I mean, Jim Duffy, it's also, I guess, to really state the obvious, you'll know fine well with your management hat on, at times there's an argument to say, okay, pick your best players, who are your best 11 players, but then there's clearly times when you need to look at relationships and what ultimately creates the best team group collectively. He might not be getting a game for Man United, but I think it would be fair to say that on paper and to outsiders you would maybe go for Scott McTominay rather than Ryan Jack, but Steve Clarke sees something different in that partnership which we've seen before between Jack and McGregor.
Yeah, but I think you said the exact thing. There's partnerships. You know, you get players that combine and suit each other. I think Ryan Jack said that probably he really enjoys playing with Cal McGregor. They suit each other, and sometimes you get that balance. And you know, I spoke to many top coaches over the years, and particularly I remember the late great Walter Smith, and talking to him about team building and things like that. And it wasn't always the best player that he felt that he played. It was the balance of the team in terms of who he felt gave him a bit better balance and being successful as Walter. Then I think what you're talking about. So you've got these type of situations as Martin that's saying there with Robertson and Tierney and things like that. They form partnerships, and they have Stevie's developed this kind of club spirit and club togetherness, and that's what it's almost like a big club. You've got top players in almost every position. You've got 2 players for every position. You can only pick 10 outfield players. You're going to always be debatable who should leave out. That'd be the case for just about anyone. There's always an argument of who you should play. It's easier before the game to argue that. During the game or after the game, that's when the debate starts if you don't get the result. But ultimately, if we get a positive result today, then he'll reassess it. He'll look at everyone's availability for Tuesday, and then I think actually he will change it again. I think he'll probably go back to a 4 against Spain and maybe even a 4-3-3. But today, as I said, he's picked his team with a victory in mind, being really positive. I agree with Gordon. I think it is positive. I think if you look at the amount of forward players we've got going there, I think with Armstrong, McGinn has obviously been absolutely magnificent for Scotland in terms of his goal scoring. Shea Adams, I think the 2 full-backs will get forward. I think we're obviously dangerous at set plays as well. So I definitely think this team is more than good enough to win this match, and really that's all that matters.
And Mark Wilson, what does it say about Callum McGregor that in this most divided of footballing environments, not just in terms of club rivalry, but everybody's got an opinion? You've seen that over the last week as we've debated the team. Nobody, absolutely nobody, would suggest leaving Callum McGregor out of this Scotland team. We were talking last night, okay, how many are absolutely nailed on to play, absolutely nailed on? And the only ones you could really have come up with were Andy Robertson, Shea Adams, John McGinn, and Callum McGregor. Yeah, it's his 50th cap today as well.
Incredible, just an incredible footballer, Gordon. I think everybody recognises that. You mentioned there the city divided, but I think even Rangers supporters would realise that he is the beating heart of what is an outstanding Celtic side. Now, when it comes to international football, I think some players sometimes change their game and sometimes maybe look a bit less than what they do when they represent their club, just because they're trying to maybe fit into a different manager's style or fit into different players round about him. I don't think McGregor does. I think he plays exactly the same way, and I think it suits international football in terms of how you need to be comfortable in the ball, how you need to keep the ball, how you need to have knowledge to slow the game down at times, as well as burst into life and drive your team forward. I think he's done that on the international side for his 50 caps. I can't remember many games where we've been disappointed and says Cal McGregor was never in that. He's always been one of the ones that gets pass marks at the least. So again, he's just the driving force of another team, driving force of Celtic, and I think he's similar role for Scotland, and I hope he's the exact same today. Hope he's the exact same against a terrific Spanish side on Tuesday, because we need top players like that in the middle of the pitch to keep the ball at this level. He's
been a terrific servant already, Gordon, hasn't he? And this by no means is even close to the end of the road, but 50 caps, some achievement.
Yeah, he must be brilliant for a manager or a coach to work with, Gordon. Terrific talent, great ability, knows how to play the game. he deserves his 50 caps, of course he does. He's been terrific for us. And Mark's right, he takes his Celtic form usually into the Scotland set up as well. He's had a few partners in there. I like the partnership today. I know a lot of people cry out for Gilmore. I totally take that on board. Right now I think Ryan Jack's playing probably best football he's played in a long time. I know he's had injuries, but that partnership of McGregor and Jack in the middle of the park sounds very good to me today.
We're nearly there. The build-up continues at Hampden next.
Action as it happens. And your reaction from 5 on the open line. This is Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard.
15 minutes till kick-off. Scotland against Cyprus in the opening European Championship qualifier. It feels like a new start. It always is when a new campaign comes around. There's a new contract for the manager. There was always going to be a new name in goal. This time we know it is Angus Gunn, and we've been working our way through the build-up, looking at the inclusions and exclusions from that team. Now, of course, Jim Duffy, to state the obvious, at some stage we're going to need to stick the ball in the back of the net. That in particular today, there will be a level of expectation there because it is the lowest seed in the group. We're playing at home. How do you assess the attacking options in the squad?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's good flexibility and movement. I think the concern we have is we don't have a natural goal scorer. There's no doubt about that, Gordon. There's no shying away from that. You know, we have obviously McGinn, who's done very well, and Shea Adams, I think, has been maybe a wee bit unlucky at times, but he's not someone you would say, oh, he's a natural penalty box striker. He's not a Gordon Dale, let's be honest. You know what I mean? So you've got you've got Armstrong and things like that who are capable. But that's the one concern for me, is that we don't have that. We're not blessed with a natural goal scorer. But I do think, you know, we do have players that can score goals, as I said to you, like McGinn. They are capable, obviously, as I said to you, set plays, whether it's Hanley and Porteous and things like that. We've got a little bit of presence. So I think with clever movement, and I think Adams does stretch defenders, he does create space for the likes of McGinn, for the likes of Armstrong, then I think that should be enough to create chances, and then it's up to the players to have that composure and quality to take those chances.
There's no secret, the number one goal threat is John McGinn, ably assisted by his backside, Mark Wilson. He's got 15 in a Scotland shirt. Just how important is he?
Oh, he's huge. I mean, I think we see the best of John McGinn in this Scotland side, where he's moved that wee bit further forward, just in behind the striker. A player who always seems to arrive at the right time in the box, and I mean, that's crucial for a midfielder. And we've relied heavily on him over the years. But I'm with Jim. When you look, if there is a concern about the Scotland side, I think it's an attacking formation with Tierney and Roberts on one side, Porteous and Hickey the other. I think we've got creativity in there, but it is goal scoring. Shea Adams this season, I know he's not played all the games down south for Southampton, but 11 goals. You follow that up with Armstrong and McGinn behind him, 3 goals each. Then McGregor and Jack as well. So that is the problem. This current campaign, this term, this season for the players, there's not many. It's absolutely on fire in terms of goal scoring.
I suppose individually, Gordon, if you're talking about personnel, then that would be correct. But it's not a team that is terribly lacking in goals in terms of the total that they get as a unit. You know, we mentioned John McGinn, obviously. You look back to some of the previous games. You know, we did score 3 at home against Ukraine. We scored twice at home against Denmark in decent sides. It's not like we only ever scrape these 1-0s. It just, unless Shea Adams suddenly becomes prolific, that spread is going to have to continue to be there and maybe even improve.
Yeah, I don't think we're a team that just relies on the one centre forward who bangs in all the goals and takes all the glory. I think there's goals all over the pitch. One player I don't think gets enough credit, and he's one of my favourites, has been for a long time. I think Armstrong's terrific. I think his movement, his timing of the runs, he can get his goals. I think he causes so many problems to defences. Jim touched on a good one earlier, with the fact that set plays, we've got a threat. You know, Porteous can get up there, Hanley, you know, Hickey's a fair. You've got great delivery from whether it's Tierney or Robertson, which helps. I just think there's goals there for us, and I fancy Armstrong and Adams to be on the goal scoring sheet today.
Jim Duffy, how important are Andy Robertson and Aaron Hickey to provide that width? Because you look at it further forward, we know it's just not a system we use. We don't have wingers, we don't play in that regard, and you would not consider John McGinn or Stuart Armstrong wide players. So how much of an onus is on Robertson and Hickey?
Yeah, I always think Andy Robertson's better at left back. I don't think there's anything to do with that because he's used to playing that way with Liverpool. And, you know, the wide guy, whatever wide guy's in front of him, you know, they come in and then it allows him to have that space. Whereas if he's higher up the pitch, he's almost too close to the opposite, you know, wing back or the opposite full back. And sometimes he can't get beyond him. He's coming back inside. That's when Tierney's important because he can break forward. It's like the underlap then from that side of and he gives us that a different dimension. Aaron Hickey again can play both full-backs, but he's a wee bit similar. I think a more natural full-back. So yeah, I think both of those players would prefer to play in a 4, but they have to give us that width because you're absolutely right. Armstrong will come in, McGinn will come in. So they have to give us that natural width and get high up the pitch. It's just a case of getting the distances right when you're not playing that week in, week out with your club football, Gordon. It does take a wee bit of adjusting. And I think Andy Robertson at time has had to sacrifice a wee bit of his own game. Although I think in the last maybe 6-7 games, I think he's been a lot better. But in his first few games in that system, I definitely think he wasn't at the same level. But he's certainly adjusted to it and should be more accustomed to it now that he's played several games in that role.
Yeah, well, listen, we know that Mark Wilson comes in here every night with an Andy Robertson branded hoodie on, so he's not going to say anything bad about the gaffer, Gordon Daziel. But he is the captain. He's clearly operating at the highest level of the squad. With that comes a pressure. You know, we've seen it before. So you kind of call it Darren Fletcher syndrome. People expect maybe quite a lot of you when you come up and play for your national team. And as Jim says, it's entirely different. You've got different players in front of you, different partnerships on the pitch. It's not always easy for Andy Robertson to do the Liverpool bit when he's in a Scotland jersey. Yeah,
you've got to take into consideration when you're club football, you're working day in, day out with the same players. You get to know their style of play, their timing of their runs, everything, where they want the ball, how they want the ball. This is a different position for Robertson as well. He's used to the flat back 4 where he sees a full game in front of him and he goes and plays with the players and he knows their runs and movements. But you're right, Gordon, when you come with the tag of being one of the best left backs in Europe, and the boy certainly fits into that bill, then you come with the pressure of having to perform. He's now the captain, which is more responsibility for him. But he gives us so much. You've got to say, has he had a few bad games in Scotland? Of course he has. Everybody does. You don't just come up and take your club football and your form and just turn it on to international football. It's difficult for these guys, but Robertson is a class act.
And funnily enough, scored a screamer against Cyprus in Stevie Clarke's first game in charge. And it took a Ryan Christie screamer to set us on our way in the game over there the last time. It's the last 4 meetings of the sides have ended 2-1 to Scotland. Mark, it feels like we're about to kick off one of those classic afternoons where we clearly should win. There's a level of expectation there, but it might not be all our own way.
Well, I don't think international football is now. I keep going back to it, and I hope I'm wrong today. I hope we get an early goal and we go on and we stroll it and it's an easy afternoon. But I think the gap has been closed in the way international minnows, so to speak, approach a game now is much more difficult. So it may just take something like we had for Andy Robertson or Ryan Christie to unlock the door. But as long as we're patient and don't expect to win the game in the first 10 minutes, the crowd at Hampden that is, then I think the players will settle into it quite nicely, because we've got plenty of attacking promise on there. Mentioned the worry about the goal scorer, but I think Jim touched on it, plenty of movement with Armstrong and McGinn, Robertson and Hickey, so looking forward to it.
Kick off at Hampden's next.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Let's head straight back to Hampden just in time for Flower Scotland.
hear the roar of the Scotland fans. They are ready to go for this European qualifier against Cyprus. The players are out there. They're in their 150th anniversary kit. Very smart looking. I don't think we'll mention the price. That's been talked about enough this week. But we talk about the crowd, Jim Duffy. It's not the ultimate barometer of how a team are doing, but Gordon mentioned it. A packed out Hampden for this type of game. It just goes to show, you know, how Steve Clarke has managed to change the feeling, the general feeling around the national team, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you hear the fans belting out the flower of Scotland, you know, it's got to inspire players, you know, and I think again it just shows that togetherness between the fans and the players, and they'll certainly, you know, as a player, when you're going to kick off, all you want is to know that your supporters are behind you, and that is the case for Scotland just now, and it's been developed over the tenure of Stevie Clarke. But you know, it'll be interesting to see how Timur Kitsbaya, the new manager, obviously he was at Dundee just before I went, actually, just in the early 2000s, and a terrific player. You know, he's a new manager. He said himself that you know, his players will thrive on this occasion. And again, but we have to be look at it. We know it'll be difficult. I think they will be organised. But if the vast majority of the Cypriot players, Andrew, play in the Cypriot league, but 90% of them, or maybe more than that, play in the Cypriot league. If one of our top clubs drew a Cypriot club in the Champions League or a European competition, you'd have to say we'd be strong favourites. So Scotland should be strong favourites to win this match. There's no doubt about it. They will thrive on the atmosphere. The fans will get right behind them. If they can get an early goal to settle them down, fantastic. But if not, we still have the quality. And as long as we've got the patience, then eventually I'm sure it will be good enough to get all 3 points, which would be the ideal start, because we are notoriously slow starters in competition. So we really need to get off to the perfect start today, with the Spain game coming up on Tuesday taking care of itself.
Well, Cyprus players just breaking away from their huddle. They're in white shirts with blue shorts. The Scotland players, high fives all round for them. Just about to kick off. I'll read you through the starting lineup quickly. Angus Gunn getting his first cap in goal. The back three: Ryan Porteous, Grant Hanley and Kieran Tierney. There's Aaron Hickey and Andy Robertson, the wing backs. Callum McGregor and Ryan Jack, the two centre midfielders. John McGinn and Stuart Armstrong supporting Shea Adams up top. It's Stuart Armstrong that gets us underway here at Hampden.
And just like that, the big game is underway at Hampden. Will Steve Clarke's Scotland side get their Euro qualification campaign off to a winning start? In terms of what you can see so far, the new strip looks magnificent, Mark Wilson.
Lovely.
I know we argued a bit about the price and so on, and yes, that's valid, but my word, we certainly look the part. Let's hope it brings us a bit of luck on the pitch as well.
I hope so. Yep, the guys are looking magnificent in
like
the new
it?
kit, but it's looking lovely. But games settling down. We see the Scotland shape. We see Portisare right centre half, just looking for that run of John McGinn early on, just to get in behind, trying to stretch the Cypriot defence. I think you made an important point, Gordon, about the full-backs or the wing-backs. Andy Robertson, Aaron Hickey, keeping their width to allow Armstrong and McGinn that space in behind. That's going to be an important factor today.
And the thing you can tell right away, Gordon, is the pitch looks like it's taking
very slow, doesn't it? Is that just me?
No, I think it's taking a lot of water. Obviously, our weather's not been that great recently. But the players will just need to adapt to it.
Yeah, Jim Duffy can tell us, he's the eyewitness, Mark Wilson. But this much maligned Hampden surface, and we know it's got a big schedule coming up in the Scottish Cup. We were just off the back of the League Cup. Just initial reactions, that looks very slow.
Yeah, you can tell right away when the first ball went back from Armstrong back to Hanley, that you know, the speed of the ball, it looks like it's been raining for about 4 weeks, and that's not been the case. I mean,
or is the grass just long?
It's 3 weeks.
It looks a mix of both. It does. The grass looks long, and it looks like
if it was just wet, then it would be.
It looks heavy.
Yeah.
But this pitch has had numerous problems, and we've got a couple of big games coming up.
Don't get me wrong, Tuesday night, grow it as long as you like.
Aye,
Don't fancy them popping
Slow
the ball.
that down.
The ball along.
What was that? That was Craig Levine.
Craig
and
Levine
Brendan
time
Rodgers.
capsule, yeah, and then bring the lines in.
But I must say,
That was Alloa. I was at that game against Rangers.
Anyway, corner kick to Scotland, 2.5 minutes gone. First set piece to try and put some pressure on. It's an outswinger, keeper punches, doesn't get there fully. Kieran Tierney's got a bit of a chance to shoot, but he just decides with the outside of his left boot to try and sort of shape one into the box. Gordon, I feel like it opened up for him to have a bit of a go.
It did, but he'd have to have taken that on his right, Gordon, and obviously pull the trigger. He didn't fancy
He
it.
ended up crossing it
He
with his
tried
left
it.
anyway, though.
Yeah, he tried outside of the left foot just to try and find somebody at the back post.
It's his first touch. Does him.
Yeah, he's not comfortable on his right. He's more comfortable on that favourite left foot. But good positive start. Forced a corner already, so we're off and running here.
Yes, absolutely. Interestingly, the couple of familiar names in the Cyprus setup Jim Duffy mentioned, Tamuri Ketsbaya, well known firstly for booting the advertising boards at Newcastle in one of the most famous celebrations of all
Great
time.
celebration.
And
just sheer anger.
And secondly, maybe for us, as Jim quite rightly says, he was a Dundee player. Didn't quite overlap with Jim Duffy, though. I think they did go to the same barber apparently up there next to Dens
What
Park.
year was that then? I might have came across or played against him then. Totally forgot Kisbaya was in amongst Dundee.
Oh yeah. By the way,
mad
Duff
spell,
had
didn't
some
he?
players up at Dundee.
Early 2000s, 2001, 2002 season.
By the way, I would have locked horns with Kisbaya. I think I would have come in top.
Because he had just come from Wolves. So Kenny Miller was saying last night he thinks he just missed him at Wolves as well when he was down there.
Terrific player, I remember.
Yeah, decent.
Right,
Yeah.
free kick Cyprus, a bit of defending to do. Ryan Porteous just a bit too aggressive, left an arm on his marker as he jumped for the header, and the referee didn't like it. But it's now a free kick to Scotland, given away by the only other name in the team that jumps out at you, Alex Gogic, who of course has played for a few teams in Scotland, and
Also the same barber.
yeah, absolutely.
There's a few there. Jim will feel right at home, won't he?
Yeah, I noticed
New way
that
forward.
St Mirren midfielder, of course, formerly of Hibs and Hamilton Accies, but formerly of Hibs, he was marking Ryan Porteous, his old teammate, there at the set piece when it came into the box. He actually lost 2 cup finals there with Hibs, so he'll be hoping for a better day out at Hampden, and we of course will be hoping to spoil that and make it 3 defeats if we possibly can. But 19th cap for Cyprus for Alex Gogic. Started.
I think he's been decent in his time in Scotland. I think he
Yeah.
plays that role well in midfield. He's playing at the back today in middle of a 3. Different role for him, but you can see how Scotland's going to have to be patient, especially with the way the pitch is playing at the minute. It's very slow, and
That's a good run. That's good movement.
Yeah,
That's
kind of
what
going
you're
a bit
looking
more
for.
over the top, and Adams he's very comfortable at dropping in and taking a touch, and he's done that. And then here goes Kieran Tierney. You want Andy
you want
Robertson
to hold up there.
Pitch
Yeah.
wasn't as slow as I would have liked on that occasion.
I think Mark used a good word today. Patience. I think we've got to be patient. There's no easy games nowadays, and gone are the days you think, Cyprus, Hampden, it should be easy. We'll score as
I'm
many.
going to disagree a bit, right? Because I just don't want to throw out cliches for the sake of it. In your European qualification groups, there are genuine minnows, right? You've got your San Marinos, Maltas, Gibraltars, teams that we've played in the past and absolutely hammered. So you do get them. I just don't think Cyprus are that. The problem, if you want to call it that, or the slightly difficult thing for us, is they are meant to be our minnow. They're our group's minnow. They are the lowest seeded team in our group. When out of that pot you could have got San Marino, you could have got Gibraltar, and we got Cyprus, which feeds into what is a difficult group in that regard, Mark, because Norway was arguably the toughest pot 3 team we could have got, and San Marino one of the tougher bottom seeds that we could have got.
Yeah, I think we have been unfortunate when it comes to a group. Some players might think, it's a good thing they get these bigger names. It maybe becomes, the games become that wee bit more edgy, which players always enjoy, rather than going and thumping somebody 6-0. But the good thing, you mentioned it earlier on, because your Nations League performance, we're guaranteed at least a playoff spot, which takes a wee bit of the pressure off.
Only 7 minutes gone, Gordon, but something that jumps out so far is Ryan Porteous' distribution has been excellent. He's played a number of relatively high risk passes, zipped them into midfield or into ambitious areas, and he's pulled most of them off so far, if not all of them.
Yeah, to be fair, I think Jim highlighted that in the build up to the game. Gordon talking about, he's very comfortable on the ball. He can hit those diagonals if Robertson's on the touchline. He can play nice zip balls into McGregor and Jack and McGinn. So yeah, he's very comfortable on the ball. I think he's getting better and better. I think at the beginning of his career he was a bit hot-headed, get caught up in a lot of things, didn't really concentrate in the game a lot. But I think since he's come into the Scotland scene, he's been excellent, Gordon, as he gives the ball away there.
Fires it in,
yeah,
right into McGinn's head. Yeah,
I think it took a nick off someone. I think no.
Did it? Did not just fire it into McGinn's head? Yeah,
nah, you might be right.
I think he did. I don't even know if it was for McGinn. I think he was maybe caught in
also
two minds.
Not sure
there.
that was offside, by the way. When you see it back, the flag eventually went up, and
I'm with you, Mark. I don't think that was. I think that was for a runner. I think that was for a runner. But he sees things, and defensively, he's get better. He's had a good start to his career down south. You've got to give the guy a bit of credit. He came in for a lot of criticism. He's got his head down. He's worked away, and he's developing into a very talented footballer.
Today, I tell you who I was looking forward to seeing, Hickey today, because when he broke into the team, a lot was on his shoulders and he didn't perform particularly well, remember. But now he's...
Oh, you mean the Ukraine game in isolation?
Course, yeah. He looked a fish out of water, and I felt sorry for the boy in the day. But now he's a Premier League player. I know he was playing in Italy at the time, but a Premier League player, and he's doing well at the minute. I think this is a big afternoon for him. I'm looking forward to see how he drives forward. Now, a couple of times he's got the ball, looks a bit tentative, turn back a couple of times. That's fine in the opening stages, but as the game progresses, I want to see more from him going forward.
You would say, Gordon, the sort of out and out more attacking of the two is Nathan Patterson, but you know, to carry on the theme from earlier on, he's been out injured, he's not had a lot of game time. Aaron Hickey's done fine, ball into the box, flashed across. John McGinn just couldn't quite get the angle on it. He was at the front post, and it was a difficult one to take on, so it goes across the face of goal. But Scotland do still have it. Porteous joining in.
They're knocking the ball about well, using both width of the pitch. Great, two things.
Cross goes to the goalkeeper.
If it goes to the left, they're not frightened to come round and get back down the right hand side. They're being patient. They're getting bodies in the box. Just a little bit more quality. McGinn's unlucky there.
By the way, I think McGinn does well. I think he does well. I think the centre forward, that's where we're missing a centre forward who plays in between the posts and right there just to tap that in. If you look at Shea Adams here, he's behind McGinn. He's hung out for some reason. I think if an opportunist like this guy beside me, he'd be in.
15 year on this programme, and it's taken Jim Duffy at Hampden to give me a compliment, and I'd like to thank him from the bottom of my heart. I do agree with him, but I'd like to thank him.
You'd be there to tap that in. But good play, McGinn, clever player. Sees he couldn't get that in target, but just turns it round the corner.
It's not a great day for you two to be bragging about your footballing abilities, though. I've just seen the team bus picture from the Celtic Legends game. Mark Wilson. Oh my goodness! The fact you've not had a call up for that.
Do you know what was sad? Hoopy was sitting there with his tracksuit on.
Hoopy's got his coffers on, starting up front.
Listen, you're being unfair on those legends who are in that picture. I mean, there's a couple of guys who are.
Do you know we like a laugh and a carry on, right? Just quickly, but he's absolutely sick. He is sick. I know. I've worked with this guy too long now.
The Huddle Hound and Davey for the pie store or the fullbacks, and you're standing in here with us.
Listen, honestly, I'm getting people shouting at me in the street and text. It just shows you the power of this show.
Remarkable.
Last night watching Gogglebox, people are texting me saying, "You're on the way down to Liverpool for that Legends game."
Good choice of Friday night viewing, though, I must admit. I never miss it.
I love it, man. It's a great show.
Porteous trying that long ball. I think we went too early with Porteous.
I said his distribution's been excellent, and he's just punted one the full length of the pitch right to the keeper.
He doesn't need, as I say, I don't think the pitch is playing as a fast pitch, Gordon. I think they have let the grass grow because of weather. It's been very, very, wet, and it looks like that. So, try to zip that ball about. Be patient. If I was Porteous, personally, I'd be giving the ball to McGregor's and Ryan Jack and just saying, on you go and play.
Not my style. I always get quite annoyed when people just latch onto something at the start and keep banging on about it, so I'll try not to. Mark Wilson, I feel like the pitch looks really, really slow.
You're right.
And I asked Andrew Mclean, is it just from TV pictures? What's it like in person? He says it's given off the same impression. It's a bit patched up. You can just see the way the ball's rolling on it or not rolling, as the case may be.
Yeah. And I don't know how we fix it, because it's a problem we've had for years.
Well, Scotland into the box with Aaron Hickey. He probably should have crossed it, but he goes for a shot at the near post, saved, and out for a corner. Did ever so well initially.
Don't mind that. It's good play. Ryan Jack, good run, gives it to Hickey. I think he does brilliantly. Cuts inside on his left foot, onto his right. He's not got a lot of options there, is he? Are you looking for
Armstrong on the penalty spot?
A cutback for Armstrong, maybe? I think that's a hard one to get your head up.
He's got to get it through three bodies to get
I
it to
think
Armstrong.
that's a hard one.
You know what?
It's
I'm
never
going to
been in
have
the net, though.
No, but I'm going to have a go. At least he's forced a corner. I'm going to have a go at Adams again. See, when you look
Get
at
across
Adams,
the front.
Adams is hanging out.
Corner kick, Andy Robertson. It's one of those that the refs. Now, the timing on this, so as Porteous has gone down from Gogic, now you have to assume the ref blew the whistle before the corner came in. Right, here's the thing, right? Why not let that go and give a penalty against Alex Gogic? Right, so the ball's presumably not in play. Why not let that go? You've got VAR there.
Exactly. Yeah, and the minute the ball comes in.
So why let Alex Gogic away with that? And listen, I know Ryan Porteous is quite good at the dark arts himself, okay? But why not let that play out?
That's your point.
Because when you see it back, that would have been a penalty
kick. No doubt in my mind, that would have been a penalty kick. Gogic, arms round Porteous. Porteous doesn't take a lot to go down, but
Robertson's
still.
corner comes in, it's cleared away by Cyprus again. Armstrong's touch is heavy, and then he commits a foul, and he's going to go into the referee's book.
Yeah.
14 minutes gone.
Well, he stops a promising attack, you've got to say.
Tell me these Cyprus players are not gathered round because they think that's more than a yellow.
No,
unless we've missed something.
I mean, Armstrong, every intention going, but his studs are up
high.
Let's see, does he catch him on the? Well, his studs did come up at the last minute.
He is a bit high. I'm not saying it's a red card, right? I'm not for 1 minute, but I don't know why his studs are up as high as that.
Sort of grazes. It's not one where the studs go through the player. They kind of graze.
Yeah,
it's coming to the end of his slide, yeah, and it comes up.
You're a defender. You've got to get your foot angled round and bring the ball back.
That was a good demonstration.
Yeah,
you did with your arm. Yeah,
I'm going to take your opinion on it, because I never tackled in my life.
You just run about and just do that fake one where the striker runs and then just slows down.
We're always talking about lack of communication, and these Cyprus players are really banging this drum for that to be a red card. That cannot be a red card. No,
not at all. I think obviously it is a yellow. I think the referees called that correctly. So we just need to go on with it. I'll tell you what I did notice at the beginning. I've not seen a lot of Angus Gunn, right? But he's got a fair presence about him.
He looks big, I think.
Yeah, he's got a fair presence as a goalkeeper. I like that in a goalkeeper. I like that in a goalkeeper.
Just going to go back to an earlier complaint, though, since we're talking about communication and VAR and all that sort of stuff. So it did flash up in the screen very briefly, a Hampden about checking a potential penalty, which I don't think they really were, because, like we said, the ball wasn't in play. I don't get that from the referee. Then when you've got that there in place, and you know that you've got that tool. So basically, if Andy Robertson runs up to the ball and takes it a bit quicker, then you're forced to go and check VAR for the penalty and probably give it. If you look at what Alex Gogic did to Ryan Porteous,
yeah.
It's a real let off there for Cyprus.
I was referee just too quick there to blow his whistle. And like you say, when we've got VR referees and assistant referees are now trained and told to let the play go as long as possible before bringing it back in case these things happen. So not our day in that respect. Cyprus get away with more. Here to come though.
Cyprus first attack, Angus Gunn's first save. I mean, Hugh Keevins would have saved it, but at least it's a first save in a Scotland jersey for Angus Gunn.
Yeah, I think he'll be delighted to get a touch. Where are we going? 16 minutes? We've not really seen him. Back pass, apart from that, he would have been delighted just to get a feel of the ball. Quite nice and easy for him, comfortable. Settles him into his first international cap.
See there, John McCann just getting dragged deeper, getting the ball from Porteous. Maybe a wee bit of frustration there, because 16 minutes in, we've not seen an awful lot of McGinn or Armstrong. So he's came deeper and deeper to try and get involved in the play, and it's actually Jack that then makes the run in behind him. The ball's not bad from McGinn, but Jack's, it's not his game. He's just not got the pace to get there. So we're early doors. I hope we just don't start getting desperate in terms of those two attacking midfielders coming beyond McGregor and Jack. Those guys are good enough to go and get the ball off the back three rather than them.
Well, Cyprus look like they've just set up to say, right, okay, we'll let the back men on the ball, we're not going to go and press high up and let them play through us. We'll just go and squeeze a game once they come into a certain area. So they're quite happy to drop off, let Hanley on it, let Tierney on it, let Porteous on it, and then when it goes in, then they're going to squeeze
I
again.
knew they would. I think you look at the last few qualifiers, they sit at roughly 30% possession mark. They were always going to do that.
Of course, but it's up to us. It's our home game. It's up to us with our quality players and the formation that we're playing to come up with the ideas to unlock them. Now that takes a wee bit of movement and it takes clever players to do. That's much better. Out to Hickey. He needs to just be more positive than that.
It was another good pass from Porteous to set it on its way. McGinn tries to just shape one over the top for Andy Robertson's run, but can't get there. Tierney comes and cleans up. So 18 minutes gone, Scotland 0, Cyprus 0. Certainly nothing wrong really with the performance yet. It's fine, it's controlled enough. Certainly got all the ball. We have mentioned, if you're just joining us, the pitch looks very slow, and players not really able to move the ball as quickly as they would like. But no real goal mouth incidents to tell you about. Aaron Hickey's probably come closest. It was an ambitious shot that the goalkeeper saved at his near post. Couple of set pieces and so on, as Callum McGregor is penalised for a foul down near the corner flag and a free kick to Cyprus.
I think one thing we would say is that you rightly say there's nothing wrong with the performance to now, but I think we would like to have created maybe more goalmouth action. McGinn's had that one that flashed across. Hickey's forced a save that's just a routine save, but some sustained pressure in this period, and it's most of the game played from the Scotland back three through to their midfield, never really getting in behind. So Cyprus, I think Cyprus pretty comfortable at this minute. I'd just like to see us make them uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough to get in behind, Gordon, isn't it? With how sort of compact they are. Andy Robertson, just again, there is the temptation to force it a bit, and it's loose from Cyprus. It allows Shea Adams to come, and Scotland trying to build something down the left, but it's like a hopeful cross more than anything.
We're getting bodies forward, but when we get in the final third, we're just not getting those crisp passes, the movements, taking players out of position as we've lost the ball there.
There's got to be a foul on Jack.
Wow, that's interesting. I'd like to see that back. As luckily for us, Callum McGregor comes in, makes an interception. Looked like a clear foul, did it not?
It certainly did. I thought two Cyprus players was run Jack there. I thought he actually stayed down his back and his feet now. I thought it was right in the ankles, but referee waves play on. Better from Scotland here.
Yeah, Andy Robertson into the box, and and there we are. It's in the back of the net. Goal for Scotland.
It's offside.
John McGinn, who else? The top scorer in the squad. He gets his 16th goal for the national side. A remarkable return, of course. This is 2023. You wait a little bit. You're a bit nervous in case there's a VAR intervention, because the Cyprus players did feel it was offside. But let's deal with it as it comes. It was down, and I think oh no. Well, it's not John McGinn's not offside, but is Andy Robertson.
Maybe Armstrong's ball. It's a great ball inside the fullback. Robertson gets it across, takes a little nick. McGinn turns it in.
I looked at that right away and I says to Mark, but
you were talking about John McGinn though.
No, I was talking about Robertson.
Right, okay.
This guy, he doesn't miss much.
But fingers crossed. Is it getting checked, Gordon? Yeah, obviously a goal gets checked.
I think. Well, listen, Fir Park last week told us there's no point in trying to second guess, because you know,
we're just hoping the Fir Park guy cut the lines today.
The Hawkeye technology is there for a reason. If you were asking naked eye, I think Andy Robertson looked off, but
did
Gordon. I'm standing here a long way away from Hampden. I thought right away when I seen that ball, but I'll tell you what, take the offside out the road. Good movement, great ball, and Robertson,
good play from Armstrong.
We're just seeing it again.
It's going to be. It's one of those impossible to call until the lines go on. Forget John McGinn. He's not off, surely.
No.
It's the Andy Robertson one. Is he beyond Alex Gogic? That is the decision that is being made by the technology at the moment.
Just now, what we're watching, Could the TV companies not put the lines up for us to watch?
Well, that has to be sent from the VAR operator to the TV broadcaster, and I think the goal has been given. Scotland 1, Cyprus 0, midway through the first half, and John McGinn has us up and running. That man's goals for Scotland, a remarkable return, Mark Wilson.
It certainly is. I said at the top of the show, we rely on him so much, and we get the best out of him when he plays closer to the forward man. I mean, he just arrives at the right time every time almost. So again, there where you would probably think your striker Shea Adams would be the most advanced player in the box, it's McGinn who's making that run to go into the end of Robertson's cross.
Such a brilliant knack, Gordon, because he's never played up there. You know, it's not something that comes as if you say, oh, you know, he used to be a striker, or he's a particularly attacking midfielder. He's always been good at bustling his way through, and he can shoot from range. But as Mark says, he genuinely gets in like strikers' positions at times for the national team.
What I'm very impressed with him is you look at that goal and it looks like nobody's within 5 yards of him. He just times it to perfection. You know, he waits to the defender, looks at the ball, because you've got to look at Andy Robertson go to cross it. He makes his movement, and he absolutely is bang on in the right space to say to Robertson, put the ball in there and I'll put it in the back of the net, and he obliges.
It's tight, isn't
Well,
it?
do you know what? I was going to disagree. I think when you see the lines, he's more onside than I thought he was.
Well, the foot of the middle defender there, just right in line.
Yeah.
So it's not the
It's
first
not
defender.
Gogic. Is it
No,
not
it's the
Gogic?
one
Oh, right,
behind
okay.
him. It's the foot.
Got you.
But look, it's a good move. We were holding our breath there. Armstrong, it's exactly what you want from a player who plays in behind the striker. You know, getting that ball in that zone, then turning and playing a positive pass. But you need the willing runner. Robertson times it perfectly. I actually didn't think it was the best ball from Andy at the end.
Took a nick off
Took a
Gogic,
nick to fall into John McGinn's path.
16 now for Scotland, Gordon. He has now overtaken James McFadden, and he is 2 behind our very own Kenny Miller. He's 3 behind Ali McCoist.
That's
so
amazing.
in terms of modern era, he's bang up there. And one, I mean, you have to assume, is he going to get 3 to match McCoist? You'd imagine so. Leaving ahead of him Laurie Riley, Hughie Gallagher, Kenny Dalglish and Dennis Law, if he can get to the Ali McCoist.
Imagine being able to say that. I've left Dalglish behind.
Well, he's got a bit to go to catch him.
But I think the most important thing in these 16 goals is it's mostly the important ones. Like, say, today we're looking 23 minutes in. I'll bet you that some supporters were getting a little bit impatient, and he pops up again. He's popped up with winners, he pops up with valuable goals. He's always in good position. Do you know, see McGinn for me, he looks like, and Jim was talking about natural strikers. See in the box, his movement's as good as any striker I've seen.
It's in a more sort of sentimental way, if you like, Mark. There's just something special about having a player for your national team that you feel like you can rely on, that is your talisman. Well, the guy's just overtaken James McFadden, you know, guy that would get you off your Hampden seat. And it's got that type of feel for John McGinn.
Again, certainly, and a different respect from McFadden. McFadden could light up the crowd by dancing past 3 or 4 players and then adding a goal to it. But McGinn just epitomises everything it is to be Scottish. You know, that he can scrap when he needs to scrap. You know, he's got that passion. The fitness levels in the boy is incredible, and he's always in the right place at the right time. So he's been a fantastic player. But I really do find that when Steve Clark's moved him forward into that position, we've seen the best of him. You even see there when we get in again and the ball's flashed across from Tierney, it's McGinn that's the more advanced out of any of our players.
I think his attitude's brilliant. I think his work rate. He's a team player. As much as he takes all the pats in the back because of the goals, important goals, he's a team player. He's a part of that team. He's brilliant at it, and he deserves everything he gets. He's a very talented young player.
What I was just about to say though is I was about to praise the backside, and then he went to stick it in where he usually does and lost out. Is there? Oh my goodness, Cyprus go for a 45-yard volley over the head of Angus Gunn. It had him scrambling, but it ends up wide of the post. We're not going to criticise John McGinn's backside. How dare we, Gordon? There are just the odd occasion where he really looks to throw in that he doesn't need to and almost kind of leaves the ball behind, and that happened on that occasion.
Yeah, but we can't criticise him for that. Most of the time,
works 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, he gets it right, Gordon. As I say, you can't say enough about him, especially with Scotland strip on. He never let us down. Works away. His attitude's brilliant. Gets good goals for us. He's just he's been terrific, and I think this team, the way they play, suits him.
Good pressure from Scotland, squeezing Cyprus into an uncomfortable area and forcing them into a mistake. Scotland do eventually have to come back the way, but it's very comfortable for Scotland at this point. 1-0 up, 27 gone, keeping good possession, not being troubled too much at the back. But as all the cliches go in these types of games, Mark, you just get that second soon and make it properly comfortable.
Yeah, I think that was an important side of the game as well, Gordon. When you come up against teams like Cyprus,
Here's Kieran Tierney into the box. It can't quite reach John McGinn.
Decent
defending.
But in terms of pressing, I was going to say, you cannot elect teams like Cyprus to settle and put a few passes in. We've got to be right on top of them. Scotland boys carrying that out to a tee at the minute, half an hour, just approaching half an hour.
Do you know who I think's been excellent? Armstrong. I think Armstrong.
You love Armstrong, don't you?
I do. I think
Love
he's. I've seen him at Dundee United, and I've followed his career since then.
It's been really tough to follow.
Well, I felt a big part of it because I did mention
Great
the super
move down the
scoreboard.
left side, and it's another Robertson cross that takes another deflection, but this one doesn't fall kindly. What we will say, Mark, in that little passage of play you just saw, you remember the talk pre-match. For anyone who instantly accuses us of being, negative when you go for the back three, Andy Robertson was like in the box, and then Kieran Tierney was the one that was outside him.
Yeah.
That's your left-sided centre back. So that's why we do it. It's
So
not all
important for
as
us.
it's not all as easy as just to say that 3 centre backs is more defensive than 2. It just doesn't work like that when it's that personnel that's involved.
No, because you can overload that left side, you can create gaps for Tierney to come up, and then the quality that Tierney's got is usually pretty good when he gets in the final third. That's exactly what you want.
We look like we're driving down the left-hand lane. Everything's going down the left-hand side. I will say, as the ball's coming in from the left-hand side, if I was Steve Clark, I'd be asking Hickey just to hold his run a little bit. I think he's getting in too early, and he's get caught with 2 or 3 where if he holds his run, he's got a chance of going and challenging the back post.
Good shout that. Yeah, noticed that a couple of times, and it's difficult. We were chatting about the difference between playing, it was left back, we were chatting about left back and left wing back. I was the same when it was right back or right wing back. I'd always prefer to play at right back over right wing back because I was pretty unsure. That timing of the run that you're on
in
about.
front of you, is that
See
the
the
way it
pitch
is?
in front of you. Jim made a good point.
Correct
You're
me if
always
I'm
closer
wrong, though.
to the left back.
Does Brentford play 3 at the back though, do they not? I could be wrong. I think they do. And I just wondered how the familiarity of
I
Aaron
just
Hickey.
made suit Hickey better, but me as a full back and Andy Robertson, who plays it in a 4 for Liverpool, it takes a bit of getting used to, Gordon. And that run, I was always unsure timing my run into back post. I was always far too
Funnily
far
enough,
out.
is that not the end at Hampden where you crossed the ball? In fact, it was heading away from goal, and Stephen Craigan stuck it in the net. And you
I was the one where I shot a goal,
and you claim you scored a Scottish Cup final goal.
Took a slight nick and went in. By the way, the pitch that day was playing much like the pitch this day. Very slow, had a wee bit of rain.
A wee bit of rain. It was chucking it down that day.
That was. But look, Scotland SFA need to sort out this pitch going forward because it's hampering. I think it's hampering our lads today. I think our lads would want a nice short pitch to zip this about and really stretch Cyprus, but I think it's playing into Cyprus.
Do you think his dad there that we seen in a shot in the camera, Brian Gunn, is saying, "Give my boy a touch"?
No, goalies want as little to do as possible, surely. Like I've said it before, Mark, and we'll maybe deal with it afterwards. You just can't get away from the feeling that the ball is moving so slowly. This referee is not shy in producing yellow cards. He's just booked Castanos of Cyprus for diving on the halfway line. It's some more often than not you see players bursting into the box and get great decision.
What a shout for the ref.
Great
That
decision.
is, yeah.
I quite like that because I sometimes feel like refs do let it go in the middle of the pitch, and then they'll maybe, if someone's trying to win a penalty, they blow the whistle, point the other way, and book it. It's a blatant dive from Castanos. I don't know what
I
he's
love how
complaining about.
love how he's carrying on the whole charade. Instead of just taking your yellow card, man, I've been done here. I've been found out. he's compounded it. But
Oh,
my
man,
God,
it's
it's worse
even
when you
worse
see it
now.
from another angle. Oh, that's a shocker.
You wouldn't want to watch that highlights at night with your family. You'd be embarrassed. That was terrible. But Scotland are, I hate to say it, but they're an easy street just now. They're very comfortable. They've got that lead. Cyprus look like they're offering nothing. I know games can change quickly, but I think Scotland have settled into this game now.
Yeah, we keep drawing similarities. The first game Stevie Clarke had in charge of Scotland was a home game against Cyprus, and he spoke during the week about being 1-0 up, which they were through Andy Robertson, being, you know, not too bothered, and then Cyprus being level and thinking, how did that happen? And relying on a last minute Ollie Burke winner. So hopefully it's a bit more straightforward this afternoon.
I think we're a wee bit fortunate there. Actually, Callum McGregor gives the ball away in the halfway line. Hanley then steps out to go searching for it to try and get it back, not realising he's left the guy in behind him, and Cyprus just not good enough to play that first time pass. Otherwise the boy would have had 30 odd yards to run into. So we just need to be careful.
Talk about the Hampden pitch or Angus Gunn's boots. Oh my goodness, what a heart and mouth moment. Angus Gunn, he's had nothing to do. He comes running out, slips, the ball lands underneath his backside, and he just about keeps a hold of it inside the penalty box.
That's just down to the pitch. You know, he's in total control of that.
What's John Carver going to say?
His feet
In
just
the presser.
totally goes away from him.
Can they play the Spain game at Lesser Hampden?
Let's move all the games. It's a slipping hazard.
I'll tell you what, right, there's two things there. There was the slip, right, but the camera zoomed in to show you how severe the slip was. And as the ball is running through to Angus Gunn, Mark, it should
Bobble.
It's
Yeah,
bouncing about all
everywhere.
over the place.
Yep.
The boys will be able to tell us, but that pitch on TV looks.
When
not
was it, the
not
worrying
the
thing
best.
is, when was the last game on this pitch?
Well, it would be the cup final, wouldn't it?
Would it? Is it? Is there not any in between?
See,
in
be fair-
Scotland women's games, no in between.
See, be fair, Mark,
that's concerning. Then
we've had torrential rain most days lately.
I know, but
I-
we live in
I know-
Scotland, so surely when they're picking the pitch and how to lay it, they realise.
Chance for John McGinn. He's going to get the decision. The goalkeeper goes down. He was clattered by John McGinn. I think it was like an accidental collision, but it was always don't think we can complain too much about that. It was Adams and Gogic headed the ball back towards his own goal. It was a 50-50 between McGinn, but goalie gets there first.
Yeah, free kick, good decision. Referee's been okay. I think it was just knee on knee. Seems a little bit of a sore one there.
Yeah, John McGinn's up and didn't like to collide with him, Mark. He's a feral unit.
Stocky. He's got a stocky lower half. But I just
Stocky
see
lower half. I've heard that before.
Well, that was me. A polite way of saying he's got a.
Yeah, I like that. I'm just watching the rerun of the goal. Armstrong's ball into Robertson's brilliant. Takes the defenders right out.
Yeah.
Robertson, we got a wee bit luck with the deflection, but once again that man McGinn arriving at the back post. The simplest Scotland goal he'll get for a long time. Just a tap in. And comfortable. Would we like to see another one get in? Of course we would, but so far Cyprus have offered absolutely nothing.
I think when we see the formation at the start and people automatically see the three at the back and they see McGinn and they see Armstrong, they think, oh, they're midfielders. Oh, here comes Armstrong.
Yeah,
now.
I just don't know if the ball will sit for him. It's bounced up a bit too high. Stuart Armstrong, he was through. Really, he was through on goal, but the ball bounced up just above that nice quiff that he's got, and couldn't quite bring it under.
He's
control.
unlucky. He starts the move and he keeps going. He makes a good run.
Checking something at Hampden because Scotland had a throw in. Aaron Hickey wanted to take it quickly, and the referee points to the earpiece.
That was nonsense. I don't know what they're checking there.
But the check seems to be over fairly quickly, so that's quite frustrating.
Yeah, that was good play. Armstrong just couldn't get the ball down, but good run, good movement, causing a lot of problems with his runs.
That's what I was going to say. So when you look at the formation, you think they're midfielders. It really is a front three, because Adams obviously spearheads it, but Armstrong and McGinn's willingness to get in behind and make up the box does make it a sort of front three when we're attacking. So we've got no worries with that. It's the best options. Armstrong picking the wrong option there. But
Say be fair, Robertson made the move. I thought that he was.
you love Stuart Armstrong.
Look at that for a ball.
Yeah.
Wins a corner
It's
kick.
actually a terrible cross, and it gets a corner kick.
He's involved in everything. I keep saying I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves. I think he's a very, very good player.
I'll just for the fun of it disagree to a point. I think there's been a lot of flattering to deceive performances in a Scotland shirt. There you go.
From Armstrong, I'd agree. And I like Stuart. I think he's a terrific
He's a
player.
terrific player on his day. Absolutely,
his
no doubt about
his work off the ball as well, making space for other players is second to none for me.
He's missed some big chances, had some big opportunities at crucial times. Yeah.
I just feel the bitterness that you're not in that bus. That's all I can feel today.
The Celtic Legends game.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye on that and see how it goes.
Is that kick off today?
Oh yeah, it's today. Yeah, the big game.
right.
Yeah.
What time's that kick off?
Oh, you'll
3.
know, don't you worry. You'll know. Your full family's sitting there going, "Where's my boy?" With Wilson strips.
Wish them all the best. Come on, Celtic. Come on, boys.
I love when my old team get done over. I love that.
Grant Hanley can show an over eagerness at times and sort of rushed into midfield area and just showed a bit too much attention to his opposition number. Free kick Cyprus, they just get us underway quite quickly, and on we go. 38 gone, Scotland 1, Cyprus 0. John McGinn with the goal.
Not seen a lot of Adams. Probably Jim will be able to tell us better. He gets a full picture at Hampden, his movement, running off the ball, but as far as being on the ball, I've not really seen a lot of him. I do agree with what Mark said earlier about sometimes that run across the front post as the balls come in from the wide area, it needs to be better, needs to be timed better. But you know, as a striker, you could be one of these players that you don't see for 39, 40 minutes, and then all of a sudden that one chance, bang, it's in the back of the net, and he's capable of doing that.
I think he plays better when obviously teams are higher up and he's our out ball. You know, we can play in behind, he can stretch his legs, gets a wee bit of space.
Yeah.
He's finding it difficult today
He's
to
actually-
find any involvement.
He's good at taking us up the pitch,
Yeah.
isn't he? But we don't need taking up the
No.
pitch as such today. You think of the Denmark game, that's arguably his
Yeah.
best performance in
Outstanding.
a Scotland jersey. He was magnificent, wasn't he? And capped it off with a fine goal. So yeah, a bit quieter today, but John McGinn, as he often does, has got the goal that separates the sides, and hopefully Scotland can add a second in the 5 or so minutes that remain between now and that half-time whistle going. Aaron Hickey and Shea Adams just looking to press a little bit.
I'm just trying to think, would Steve Clark be sitting there now quite happy with the way things are going?
Got
One
to
up,
be, surely.
Cyprus not created
I mean,
anything.
he can want more for sure, but
Yeah,
he'll be
yeah. I
satisfied,
think
won't he?
the second goal would certainly kill this as a tie. There's no doubt, because I can't see them scoring 2 goals at Hampden unless there's a dramatic change at half time for them. You can always go against the fact that they could get an odd set play or a free goal, but they've offered nothing as a team going forward for me.
Yeah, well, again, whether it is the stickiness or what, is Scotland defence maybe a bit slow. Move it back to Angus Gunn, who is forced to kick it up the pitch, and first chance really for Cyprus to get in, but the pass wasn't great and it was cut out by Grant Hanley. One of those that can easily be missed though, and this is a great run from Stuart Armstrong. He's got this more space than we've seen really in the opening stages of the game to gallop into, but he eventually turns back, plays a poor pass, and really sets Scotland on the back foot. That was very odd decision making, Mark Wilson.
He was brilliant at that at Dundee United. He made his career at that and got his move through that, just luring in a defender, seeing the space, and so powerful.
Did you play with him,
when
Mark? Yeah.
You've asked me that about a million times, and every time I'll say, yep, I did play with him.
All right, okay.
But he turned back there, Gordon. I don't know why. I thought, okay, the defender caught him. He maybe could have just went again.
I don't know if he tried to play McGregor, and I think he get caught in 2 minds.
Yeah.
But it's a very positive run, good run. He's been involved in a lot of things, but it's where you can see that Scotland are really trying to use that left side of the pitch. Everything seems to be coming down there.
Got to think, even tracing it back, Andy and Stuart, Andy Robertson, Stuart Armstrong had a terrific understanding, both of them, at Dundee United. Andy gets his move to Hull, Stuart gets his move as well to Celtic, but they know each other inside out. That's why you'll see Stuart occupying that left side and try to connect with Andy as best possible. It's where we get the goal from. I think that's important when you get to international level, that you've got players that do strike a balance and strike an understanding. Here it is again. Oh, I thought, see, that's Ryan Jack. Ryan Jack runs into an area there where just shouldn't have. He should have left it for Andy Robertson. The ball has got to be better for your favourite though.
Yeah, it's patient builds.
Just
Oh, the
letting
referee
it-
does
look,
well.
Look at Gogic wipe at the referee there.
What was the referee doing there? Exactly.
Oh, that's a great
terrific.
ball.
This is nice. John McGinn's into the box. He's
shit,
desperate
you're
for it on
right.
his right foot, though. He
Shit, you're
wanted to
right.
cut back on his left. That's so disappointing because it was such a good
Brilliant.
move.
Round the corner, recalled that. I
1-2
think I
with
would have
Shea
dragged
Adams.
that back.
It ends up a shot from Adams tipped over the bar, but you have to say if John McGinn had any belief on that right foot, you've got to be taking that
He's
shot.
got
on
to be
all
good
day
enough.
long.
He's a Premier League player, one of our outstanding goal scorers in a Scotland shirt. He's got to take that on his right.
Having never been anywhere near those situations, I'll bow to your superior knowledge. But see when you're that close, can you not even you can try and drag one with your weak foot towards that far corner? And
Yeah, I probably would have had a go at that. As
Tierney down.
Gogic again.
Gogic's wrestling.
Yeah.
Tierney's looking at the referee.
Yeah, well,
arms
one-
stretched wide.
Once it goes out, we'll see Robertson's on the right side from the corner. The players are
pitch.
slipping all over the place here.
Change your studs at half time.
It's not the studs that need
look, at,
changed.
look at that. Andy just goes to try and chip that ball back. It bobbles up. He's lucky that McGregor recovers it.
The pitch isn't great.
Come on, it needs to be better at this level. Our national park, you know, and we've not had game after game on it. That's never an excuse. And it's cut up. Well, it was playing poorly in the first minutes, but it's cutting up badly 43 minutes in.
The thing that would worry me is generally the pitch will look worse in real life than it does on a TV screen. So if it's worse in real
chance
life
here.
than it looks. Tierney,
good
edge of the
ball.
box. Andy Robertson, what a block that is, you have to say. Great diving
McGregor.
intervention from Callum McGregor to keep it alive.
That's the plus point of Tierney. Left centre back, gets into the final third, and you think he's going to spray this across. He gets his head up low and pulls it back to Robertson, who
Scotland
gets a
could
shot
be in
away.
a bit
Free
of bother
kick.
here.
No.
It's a free kick though.
Yeah. You can say Cyprus ain't too happy with the decisions, referee, but that's a free
I
kick.
thought they were hard done by there. No?
Do you? No, I think that was a free kick. I think the referee.
We had the chance to check what happened with Kieran Tierney and Alex Gogic in the box. They just
They must have checked it. They must have looked at
ball's
it.
not been out though, has it? That free kick
Well,
would have
free
stopped
kick,
it at
yeah.
that point. Anyway, just a couple of minutes left of this first half. Certainly a comfortable one for Scotland. It's going to plan up to a point. You would possibly be looking for a more dominant scoreline. Don't think there's any shame in that.
That's
That's
good
well
playing
played.
from Porteous.
Porteous finds Shea Adams. He's only got the 4 defenders round him, and now he's dropped pretty deep, and he tries to slide one, but Hickey's just not on the same wavelength.
He does well to recover Hickey there, but he's got to be on his toes. He's got to be react to those situations there. They're decent balls. He's making good runs. Got to say that about him. It's patient play with Scotland, and you've got to have that today, because I know we're talking about the pitch and everything like that. It's difficult, but you've got a team that are putting everybody behind the ball and making it very difficult. So you've just got to move players about.
He's shown good footwork, Aaron Hickey, a number of times. That's a nice
ball.
pass from Tierney into Adams. He's just going to try and spin Gogic. He goes down, but he gets back up and it's a corner. I think he did
Just
nick
touched the ball. I think Gogic just judged it to perfection.
Adams has stayed down holding his shin, and you know they should take a look, certainly. There's just a little.
Oh, he just got it.
Gets a
But he
toe on
comes
the ball,
through.
doesn't
He
he?
comes through Adams, but he gets
It's a great tackle.
gets a toe on the
That's
ball
a
there.
great tackle.
Yeah, that's a great tackle.
You're
yeah.
happy with that if it's
Yeah.
Grant Hanley, aren't
Yeah.
you? You have to be
Unbelievable.
honest. Have to be honest about that.
Oh, and he had to make it as well. I think because he committed. If Adams gets round him, he's got the full goal for his left foot just to shoot at.
Yeah.
The referee's still checking this. So
They'll be taking a look, and by
Was
all
that
means,
half-time?
if you want, if you want to produce a wild decision in Scotland's favour, we won't complain. We are
That's not a penalty
or
kick.
that fickle. But yeah, it would be on you go corner kick to be taken. Nothing doing from the VAR check, and I don't think we can complain.
yep, a goal here would be nice. Minute to go. Minute stoppage time to go to half time. Just keep an eye on what's going on in the box, though, because there's been a few occasions our players have went down. Nothing that
Yeah,
time, though.
Scotland's 5th corner, and it doesn't come to anything at all, which is a bit frustrating. Back now in the defending half with Aaron Hickey, just going to go long towards the end of this first half. Porteous is up there. Maybe one more chance if Scotland fancy it. It's a throw in deep down by the corner flag.
Sometimes I don't mind that long diagonal, just to put a bit of pressure on. There's not long to go to half time. Gets you up the pitch, gives you an opportunity to get the ball in the box, and You know, the next goal for Scotland obviously puts us tied to bed, but is young Hickey there going back the way?
Yeah, probably would have been as well, just trying to get something into the box so late in the half, but it comes all the way back to Angus Gunn.
We're playing with a goalkeeper.
And long it goes, it's just going to be over the head of Andy Robertson, and it's probably the last action of this first half. There was that VAR check within the stoppage time, so there'll be a little bit longer. Steve Clarke tends to have the same expression on his face anyway, whether we're 5-0 up or 5-0 down, but he's just gathering his thoughts before the half-time team talk. And that is the half-time whistle at Hampden. Let's speak to Jim Duffy and Andrew Mclean.
Scotland 1, Cyprus 0, the half-time score at Hampden, and once again it's that man John McGinn making the difference for Scotland. The first chance in this game went to Steve Clarke's side. It was really good work from Aaron Hickey on the right, getting into the box, cutting past a couple of defenders. He was at an angle, he went for the shot, and it was turned round the post by the goalkeeper. Cyprus with the next shot on target, it was Kastanos cutting in left-footed, a really easy save for Angus Gunn on his Scotland debut 20 minutes in, and that's when the deadlock was broken. Stuart Armstrong, a really good ball to play Robertson in down the left. The captain's cross deflected into the path of John McGinn, who had the easiest of finishes for 1-0. It was checked by VAR for a possible offside in the build-up, but the goal was allowed to stand. After that, it was Kostakis Artematis. He tried an ambitious looping volley from about 35 yards. On first viewing, it actually looked quite close, but replay showed it was never going to trouble Angus Gunn's goal. And just before the break, a chance for Shea Adams. John McGinn, he chose to cut it back to Shea Adams rather than shoot on his right foot himself. Adams' shot was tipped over the bar for a corner. The half-time score at Hampden, Scotland 1, Cyprus 0. Jim Duffy, Scotland comfortable enough in this game, or maybe be looking for a bit more in the final third?
Yeah, I mean, thoroughly deserved to be in front, there's no doubt about that. Totally dominated the match, the first 45 minutes. Yeah, as we said before the programme, you know, the one concern about us is can we create chances and can we take them, and we've only taken one in the first half from John McGinn. There was a long ball played through. I think there was a bit of a mix-up and a bit of a poor touch from, I think it was Gogic, and Shea Adams anticipated it, managed to get the ball wide, and then there was a lovely little ball in behind the fullback for Andy Robertson to do what he does time and time again. It's a little flick off Gogic, but John McGinn, right place at the right time. So often we've said that, on his right foot, just kept his composure. It makes it look simple, but you know, we've seen players in the past, you know, particularly on their weaker side, just getting a wee bit uptight in those situations. But he was calm, just punched it into the back of the net, 1-0, and you know, from then on in, really Scotland have, as I said, have controlled the game, but you know, not having too many clear-cut chances. For the couple of shots, you know, from goal, that one, as you mentioned, from Shea Adams, straight at the goalkeeper, and he parried it over. And as Gordon and the guys have said in the studio, particularly down the left-hand side, we spoke about that formation and the leading up to the game, the back three. But Kieran Tierney's pretty much played as a left winger at times, or a left fullback, and Andy Robertson being a left winger. The two of them have been so high up the pitch, and Porteous has held his position a little bit alongside Hanley, not really got forward on that side. So most of our play has been in that side of the pitch, and Aaron Hickey's, you know, been a little bit isolated on the other side. But listen, it doesn't matter which side is your favoured side, as long as it's productive, and that one piece of productivity in that left-hand side led up to the goal. And again, yeah, I think that it's difficult for Adams. He's up against three defenders and he's trying to stretch them. He's working across the back three. We're playing with almost like two number 10s in behind him with McGinn and Armstrong. And at times, you know, they've managed to get themselves into good positions. But I still think, as I said, when the ball's played into those areas, Shea Adams has got to gamble. He's got to be gambling in between the sticks. I think if he does that, he's likely to get his goal. But overall, listen, it's a solid performance, not exceptional, but certainly with the best team. I've been a wee bit disappointed in Callum McGregor, strangely enough. We mentioned this is his 50th cap, and he's been, you know, as Mark said, he's nearly always the guy that gets past marks, but he's been a wee bit flat. He's lost possession a couple of times. Yeah, we'll go back to the pitch is quite poor, but he's not played any of those little incisive passes that he plays when he's playing with Celtic. So that's one area I think we can improve upon a wee bit, just moving the ball forward into those Adams and Armstrong McGinn a little bit quicker. If we do those passes a little bit sharper, a little bit quicker, then I think we'll get the second goal, and the second goal will definitely put the tie beyond the game beyond Cyprus.
John McGinn with the influential moment once again. Since Steve Clarke took charge of Scotland, no player has made more appearances, scored more goals or provided more assists than John McGinn. The half-time score here at Hampden is Scotland 1, Cyprus 0.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard.
Andrew Mclean and Jim Duffy are at a rain-soaked Hampden, which is quite something because it's completely dry in Clyde Bank by the looks of it out the window, but there we are. Maybe it's on our way. Jim Duffy, since we are drawing distinctions between what we can see on television and what you can see at the stadium, is the pitch as bad as it looks to us here on the TV?
Yeah, I mean, I get really frustrated with the quality of this pitch. You know, I mean, it's our national stadium. You know, we see pitches all over the country, particularly down south, where they're absolute bowling greens. And you know, if we want our top team to be playing in the perfect surface, and it's not, it is slow. You're right. We know there has been a lot of rain. I understand that. But you know, listen, there's not too many games played in this. This pitch should be in much better condition. There's no doubt about it. And you know, we've seen a few players slipping. We saw that one with Angus Gunn, his foot just away from him. But I've seen 2 or 3 players, it's just their foot's just going away from him a little bit. And that really shouldn't be happening at this level, Gordon. Listen, the guys in the studio played in some horrendous pitches over the years. But in modern day, this pitch should be in pristine condition, and it certainly isn't.
Do you think is it playing a part in Scotland's football? Because like it's very easy, Jim, for people to dismiss and say it's the same for both teams and get on with it, and you'll hear a lot of, you know, back in my day the pitches were much worse than this. You know, I do get all that, but you could see the very first time we passed the ball, it was literally a simple pass back to one of the defenders. You could just see the ball was moving very slowly.
Yeah, I mean, it's got like that said. You know, you have to adjust it. You have to put a bit more on it. There's no doubt about it. You have to zip it in. But if you want to move things like one touch and quickly and sharp, then you know you do have to adjust it. But you know, you have to put a little bit more on it. So you have to think about it. And particularly playing balls, you know, those balls in behind, you're waiting it. So it does take a bit of adjusting, and I think we have adjusted to it. You know, by and large, but. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt it should be better. You know, I think from Cyprus's point of view, they're probably quite happy because it can slow the game down a little bit. The ball doesn't move quite as slick. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's not terrible. I'm not saying it's horrendous because it's not, but it's not at the level it should be for this quality, you know, competition, and that's what we're saying. And we know we've got games coming up, and hopefully the weather will improve over the next month or so. But certainly, yeah, I think it's had a small impact. I don't think it's been a huge impact on the standard of the game, but it definitely has had a little bit of an impact on it going out. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Second half is coming up next.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard. The Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard podcast with Lucas Land Rover. Here, wherever and whenever you need them. Visit them in store or online. The Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard podcast with Lucas Land Rover. Buy your next car or book your MOT, service or repair online. It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard.
Second half about to get underway at Hampden. Let's quickly go back there and speak to Andrew Mclean and Jim Duffy, see if there are any changes at the break.
Yeah, just having a look at the Scotland outfield players that are warming up down there at the moment. I think only 8 of the 9 outfield players are down there at the moment. It's maybe Scott McTominay is the only player that isn't out there warming up. I don't know if that is an indicator that there may be a change afoot, but we will wait and see. The team's yet to come out the tunnel here at Hampden at the moment. There is going to be a change for Cyprus. Danilo Spoljaric is stripped and ready to go. He's just tying his shoelaces now and waiting for the confirmation. So we'll see who comes off for Cyprus. But just looking at that bench, Jim Duffy, there is a lot of talent on there as well, but Steve Clarke will be able to turn to in the final third. You've got the likes of Lyndon Dykes, who has been so reliable for Steve Clarke, Jacob Brown, who we've seen in flashes for Scotland, but not too much, and certainly other players, Lewis Ferguson going really well in Serie A, the likes of Ryan Christie, also an option.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's the wee bit of risk with Stuart Armstrong because he picked up that yellow card. I don't think there's any doubt it was a yellow card. I mean, there was a VAR check, I think, just to see whether it was any more than that. But so there's always that wee concern that if the referee is a little bit fussy or anything like that, one mistime tackle, even if you slip and career into someone, so that might be something that Steve Clarke will look at. We'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, I think Stuart Armstrong's back out in the pitch. But that might be the wee thing he's got to just make sure he doesn't do anything silly.
Yeah, there aren't going to be any changes for Scotland. It is the same 11 that have come out for this second half. So Angus Gunn will continue in goal. The back three, Ryan Porteous on his birthday, alongside Grant Hanley and Kieran Tierney. Aaron Hickey at right wing back. Andy Robertson at left wing back. It's Callum McGregor and Ryan Jack, the two central midfielders. John McGinn and Stuart Armstrong are supporting Shea Adams, who is the striker for Scotland. It will be one change, as I said, for Cyprus. It's going to be Danilo Spoljaric that comes on for them. Just waiting for the board to go up to see who it is that's going to come off and what type of change that is going to be for Cyprus. Up goes the board, and it is the number 13. So it is Kusulus, who was playing at right centre back for them. I believe Spoljaric coming on as more of a midfielder. So we'll see if there is a change in formation, a change in approach from Cyprus in this match. You'd expect Scotland will be set up exactly the same for this half, just looking to be more dangerous in the final third as they chase more goals in this game. The half-time score is Scotland 1, Cyprus 0, and we are underway for the second half.
And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
Action as it happens, and your reaction from 5 on the open line. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
We said it before the game, Mark. It sounds like a terrific atmosphere there at Hampden, and really these players now need to go and give the fans something else to cheer about in the second half.
I think so. I mean, the fans have turned out in their numbers, and okay, the scoreline's going in their favour just now, but I think it just needs that wee bit of spark, somebody to excite the fans. And it has become apparent to me in that 45 minutes that we don't have a player that drops the shoulder and goes by someone. We always rely on late runs or nice passes like Armstrong to Robertson to create something. Be nice to see somebody just spark into life.
We do have super John McGinn though to bag the goals. He's got one in the first half. What can we do in the second? It's been a front foot start to the second half, if you like, of trying to press and trying to go forward, but just a couple of things we've either got wrong or a couple of bounces haven't gone the way, and it's a throw in to Cyprus. So no changes for Scotland at the break. I don't think that's entirely surprising, is it, Gordon?
No, I think Steve Clarke would have probably said, right, okay, satisfied with most of it, but the most important thing is next goal puts us out of reach. There's no way that Cyprus will come back from that. But they just need to be careful that they don't give Cyprus any hope at all, Gordon, especially in the conditions. It could be a slip, it could be a mistimed pass or whatever it may be. Just do not give them any encouragement, and Scotland are very comfortable.
Good play that, back to front, Tierney on his right foot, just clipping it into Adams, round the corner to Jack and set us away rather than try to play passes through the lines. Sometimes you just need to go a wee bit more direct, especially when you've got Adams up there, one so strong who does link as well. So much better that from Scotland.
Yeah, just getting stuck a little bit under the feet as we tried to go forward. Grant Hanley showing a nice bit of composure. I don't know if it was quite the Cruyff turn, was it? It was something close as he takes the ball away and tries to come forward, and a bit of grappling there with John McGinn. It's not something you want to do necessarily if you're a defender, but to be fair, they do win it at the second time of asking. Good tenacity by Aaron Hickey. Scotland just don't quite get the break, and then Ryan Porteous just too aggressive coming forward, and it's a free kick.
I'm not going to make any excuses with the pitch and everything. It's highlighted, the pitch isn't great, but I think some of the players are struggling on it. And I'll tell you, as Jim said, these players train and play every week in nearly bowling greens, the clubs that they're at. And when you come onto that surface, I think there's still, that pass. You see a lot of passes that are very well, you think they're very slack. I think it's just the pitch has played such an important part in it.
Would agree with you. The irony, of course, being all the discussion about training pitches this week, and talking about how good Lesser Hampden is and how much better than Oriam it is. But this is the main event. This is the bit that really needs to be good. And
that is an interesting point, Gordon, though. If the Scotland staff are commenting on a pitch that they've just left being poor, then they need to speak out about the pitch they're actually playing on as well. They need to be consistent with their criticism. And you're right, this is the main event. This is the one people care about. This is where we get their results. This is what keeps them in a job or loses their job, so they need to call this out for what it is, and we need to be better. Yeah,
maybe Steve Clarke will have something to say, but he's got a game to try and negotiate his way through. Second half of a game, certainly 48 gone, still the 1-0 advantage to Scotland. That John McGinn goal in the first half, I think Aaron Hickey's been penalised. I don't necessarily think there was much in that. The players look fairly bemused, and on we go. And it's funny, Mark, because we always look at attacking changes, game changers, and you speak about, do we lack someone who can drop the shoulder? We've said we don't play with width, we don't play with wingers, we're not blessed with great strikers, but there are different ways to attack in a football match, and it might well actually be that bringing on someone like Nathan Patterson is an attacking change, despite him being a defender, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think he's an outstanding young player who's shown well anytime he's represented the country, and it might just be a change like that. I think Hickey's struggling a wee bit to get forward. He's had plenty of touches of the ball, but everything seems to be going backwards. Daz touched on him time in his run into the box, not quite there. Maybe Steve Clarke is looking to change something.
First corner to Scotland. I don't know if it's a training ground routine. It's a short one.
Boy, does, by the way, the defender does well there.
Yeah.
Passes short again from, is it McGregor to Robertson? But the defender, when you're
That's
out there,
still poor from Scotland, though.
it is, because
You've got McGregor and Robertson 2-on-1.
McGregor's got to engage, make the defender make a decision, and he doesn't. But I'm going to give credit to him because he gets back.
Get the second bite at it from the corner, just a more traditional one, but nowhere near any Scotland jersey that time. So some of the set pieces
I think they've been
frustrating. Yet
I think they've been poor this afternoon. I think at that level you need a bit more quality. That ball in the box, you should at least someone coming in at the back post attacking that. That's basic stuff.
To cut a bit of slack, I saw Ryan Porteous complaining he'd been blocked off. I don't know if the intention was that he would peel round and be in that area, but nevertheless, Scotland are still on the attack with Callum McGregor and Aaron Hickey. Everything seems very tight. I suppose you have to credit Cyprus. They've got bodies in areas, because it doesn't look like there's much obvious space for Scotland to get into. And were it not for a heavy challenge by Andy Robertson, may well have got in there.
Yeah, you're not getting away with that.
To launch the attack.
You're not getting away with that, Gordon. I think in the final third, especially the final pass, the next ball is just a bit slack for me. I think that we need to sort of sharpen that up a little bit, because as much as we've been comfortable, the Cyprus goalkeeper's not had save after save after save. So we just need to be careful here and not give the away team any encouragement at all.
Yeah, it's good from Tierney and Robertson, win it and then use it efficiently to get Scotland out the other side. It's all the way across with Hickey. He doesn't look like he's got too much on though, and has to come back. I feel like Cyprus have plugged gaps quite well, Mark, to give a bit of credit.
Maybe, but I think we need to be better there. We worked that ball fantastically well out to Jack, and what's Jack's first thought? To pass it sideways to Porteous, who goes sideways to Hickey, who then comes back. We need to be driving forward when the space is in front of us. I think we've lured Cyprus in. So you may be right in the respect that Cyprus have had bodies in the right position, but in that instance we broke their press, and Jack just passes it off to the side.
The only thing I'll say in defence, and
I'll tell you what, the yellow card that's just been shown to Cyprus, unless it's for something that was said in the reaction, is as soft as you'll see. With my bias, I can still admit
I think
that.
it is a reaction, Gordon, because that is never a yellow
It's
card.
barely a foul on Aaron Hickey, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Hickey was lucky to get away. But I'll go back to Mark's point. Obviously, Jim and that and Andrew at the stadium will see it better. They might just not have anything on in the forward areas. He might be a bit frustrated, thinking, I need more movement. So rather than play that ball that's got to get cut out, I'll just keep possession.
And it's just a slack one from Hanley as he looks for Tierney down the left hand side out for a throw in. So I think Stevie Clark will be looking for something a bit sharper.
I think he'll give it another 10 minutes, and I think he'll look at his bench here. I do think that, as much as I keep saying they've not offered, it's went a bit flat in the second half. I know it's early. I was expecting Scotland to come out the traps and really go after them and try and get that second goal that'll just make it comfortable. I think Steve will look at this and probably give it another 5-10 minutes and
brilliant
change
control from the Cypriot goalkeeper, because he looked like he was in a world of trouble with Shea Adams bearing down on him.
On his left foot on the bounce, kills it dead. Shea Adams does well to press him there, but that's what we need. We need, our front men running the Cypriots down and putting them under some sort of pressure. But Daz is right. It's all a bit flat, a bit boring. Great crowd in there. They're looking to be, let's be honest, they go there to be entertained. It's a bit, okay, we're happy it's 1-0, but these are the games we want to see, is scoring and creating chances. It's a lack of chances, I think, that's getting me, lack of penalty box action.
Yeah, because the rest of it's fine, isn't it? The possession's sort of there and we don't look troubled, but not doing much now in that final third. Cyprus now slip, it's their turn. Shea Adams takes a heavy touch.
I think he's been poor
very
today.
Scrappy.
I think, look, it's very difficult out there, but I think Adams is not that usual. I always look at him as a sharp striker, and he anticipates things quickly. I think he's been caught flat-footed quite often this afternoon.
I do think for both teams, we look at that passage of play, we get it because Cyprus slip on the surface, and then it looks like we don't have the belief to sort of take advantage either. It's certainly adding to the scrappiness as Aaron Hickey's ball is really poor.
It needs something. It needs a change. It needs, I don't know, it just needs a sharpness to it. Because
you look at the bench and you think, who is that to come on and really add? Christie for Armstrong, like for like, maybe. I don't know how many players on that bench could come on and the fans would go, yes, here they come, this is going to liven things up, this will make a whole world of difference. Not too sure. Maybe Patterson might be the one, because Hickey, I think, is
I totally agree with you. I think I would be looking at Patterson maybe getting up and down that right hand side a little bit more quicker.
Is there space to do that though? Because I know what you're saying. I wouldn't say Aaron Hickey's had a brilliant game. I don't recall too many times where you think, right, there's that space, go and attack it.
No, what I would like to see, Hickey's had the ball plenty of times at his feet. I would like to see him just actually square the full back up and actually go by him.
Well, it's Lyndon Dykes that's going to come on, and Shea Adams is down, which is a real sorry sight. That is not great news at all, with the visit of Spain to come on Tuesday. And it looks like, did he go down without anyone round about him? Best case scenario, let's hope he's just spotted something quickly and gone down as a precaution, and he's going to come off, because we've already said if there's one area of the pitch, was it in that challenge from Alex Gogic?
Doesn't seem a lot in that.
It's hard to tell. A wee bit of contact there from Gogic and the follow through, but I mean, it doesn't look much in it, does there?
We don't. As Jim Duffy said, everyone knows we're not blessed with strikers. You do not want to get into that Spain game without Shea Adams available.
No, certainly not. Good to see Lyndon Dykes back. He's been through a tough time. Steve Clark, obviously, a big admirer of him. He's done well for us in the international stage and chose to call him up, so he's going to get a good run at it here.
Do you know, I think that substitution would have been made shortly anyway. I don't think Adams, and maybe it's the service, maybe it's the fact the way Cyprus have made sure that there's no space, because he likes to play on the shoulder and get in behind and get into the spaces that are available. That's not happened today. This may be a different option. Maybe just more direct, and then McGinn, Armstrong, or whoever comes on feeding off Dykes.
Still a worry though, I think, with Tuesday in mind, isn't it?
Yeah. Dykes, sorry, Adams, I had a memory block there, even though I was watching him walk
Scotland
off the pitch. The Scotland striker, Adams, certainly the one you want on the team sheet come Spain on Tuesday, but that's concerning. Oh, tell you what, Hanley had to make that header there. Just root one ball up the pitch, and if Hanley doesn't get it when he's stretching, Cyprus could have been in.
Lyndon Dykes 8 days in hospital with pneumonia just a couple of months ago, Gordon. It is an absolute miracle almost that he's actually back playing football at the moment.
Yeah, and good to see him back. I think he brings something different, and he can score a goal if you give him the right opportunity. I just think we needed freshened up somewhere, Gordon. I think that there'll be more subs coming on shortly.
That wasn't it though. I know what you're saying, your theory that it would have happened, but Steve Clarke wasn't planning that sub at that point.
I think that'd have happened in the next 10-15 minutes. The game was going the way it was going. And I think Patterson will come on probably for Hickey. I agree with the boys. We were talking about it earlier and saying how well McGregor does for Scotland. There's not denying that. This is probably his quietest game he's had. I think Jim highlighted it at half time. Mark has commented on it. You know, you're used to McGregor dominating that middle part. He's not really been on the ball as much as I think Scotland would like him to be.
Yeah, it feels like the ball's not been in that area.
No,
at
you're
all,
right.
doesn't it? Do you see what I mean?
Point.
There is a sort of scrappiness there. I don't.
It goes from wing back to wing back, and then we're trying to force it into Armstrong and McGinn, but it's avoided Jack and McGregor quite a lot.
Because it's also not been that direct either. You know, it's not like, okay, you know, we've bypassed the midfield because we've just lumped it up the pitch. We've not really done that either. So, bit of a strange
See,
mix.
there's a run again. There's Hickey.
And
that
clearly,
one ball goes over him. He's got to he's got a good opportunity here, but he's got to learn to time that run.
Yeah, a bit better this from Scotland, but John McGinn's cross is scooped way too high. That's really poor in the end, because it was actually a better period of pressure and possession from Scotland, but it ends up with a goal kick.
and again, that's where we have been poor in this full game. The final third, I think we get the goal at such a crucial time, because if this wore on a bit, you would start to kind of, your confidence would fade in us getting one, because in that final third where you look to be sharp and have nice little runs off of the Cyprus back line, I don't think we're getting it. I think there's a lack of quality. We got it once with Robertson off the back and Armstrong putting them through, and that's it. That's where we get the goal.
I can't change my mind, because at the beginning of the game I said the most important thing is 3 points, so I'll stick with that. The icing the cake would have been a good performance and plenty of goals. So far, I don't think we've really reached those heights that we were looking for. We're talking about the crowd being back, a full house at Hampden, excited with this Scotland side. It's been difficult. The pitch has certainly played a part, and I'm not making excuses for these top players, but that pitch has played a part in this. But we have to be careful here.
Yeah, I mean, Lyndon Dykes was trying to get in the end there, wrestling with Gogic, and I don't think either of them really knew where the ball was going to settle. But it's been a comfortable afternoon for Scotland, but certainly not an overly impressive one yet. 60 minutes gone, Scotland 1, Cyprus 0. John McGinn's goal.
The interesting thing will be the players getting asked about the pitch. I'm pretty sure they will in the mix zone after it, because it is, you know, it's apparent to everybody there. It's clearly visible, and I think the players have got to be strong in it as well and say, look, we need to get this right. If we want to qualify for tournaments, we need to make this place a stadium and a pitch that we're comfortable playing on, and it plays into our hands. It's certainly not that today. But again, listen, let's in equal measure say about our players as well. I don't think we've been bright enough either.
I agree with you. I don't think there's a sharpness.
Yeah, I think we've been pedestrian at times. We've used our centre backs. I said at the start of the show we needed to be patient, and that's correct to a certain extent. But we're kind of drifting into the just slow build up and looking for somebody to make something happen that won't be me. I'll just keep it nice and simple. Nobody really going out their comfort zone.
Just not quite able to sort his footwork out. Callum McGregor, that was a better move. It was nice. It was a bit more incisive, but McGregor was a bit off balance. I think the pass was behind him to extent as well.
Yeah, it's been the pattern of the game for 62. In that final third, apart from the Robertson one, we get a little bit of luck with the deflection. McGinn gets in, great goal at the back post. But we've not really had that pass that's opened up their defence. You know, we've sort of been slack a little bit in the final third. I'm sure Steve Clarke will be a bit annoyed about that. But I certainly think that he's got to be looking at his bench again.
Yeah, I think Ryan Christie might be one of the men to come on. He is not just some warming up, but he's obviously a sort of favourite of Steve Clarke, or one of them. Scored that goal in Serbia, scored the penalty in one of the important victories against Ireland at Hampden not that long ago. Scored a fantastic goal away to Cyprus, actually, which is the last time these sides met, and it was yet another 2-1.
Patterson,
would we
is
see
it?
someone like Lewis Ferguson,
No.
maybe,
Is that
or
Ferguson
Scott
there?
McTominay? We'll see. There's another change coming. Andy Robertson tries to just nod the ball inside and run onto it himself, but he gets it wrong. Referee seems very fussy, isn't he? Very fussy.
Do you not think that's a free kick? I
Free
do.
kick to Cyprus on the halfway line.
I think that's a free kick. I think McGregor just takes him out.
Again, it just feeds into everything that this game has
just
became.
scrappy.
Just scrappy, stop start, free kick in the halfway line, not intentional. It needs something to pick up.
See, right now
whole
it suits
occasion.
Cyprus because they're thinking we have still got an opportunity. Can we get one chance in this game? Because you're looking at Scotland, they've not really threatened you so far. You'd expect the goalkeeper to be more busy.
I'm going to stick my neck in the line. Cyprus are not getting one chance in this game here.
Oh,
There's
listen,
no way, because
Hugh
I'm not,
Keevans, just because he's not here doesn't
Yeah.
mean you can start
I know.
that. Carry on.
Yeah, Cyprus are making heavy weather of this.
listen,
I'm not committing anybody's forward.
It would be a hard argument, Mark, but football could be
Absolutely.
a set play that just gets put into the box.
Then
or-
the nerves can set in if
Yeah,
you're.
anything at all. But I totally take on board the argument.
Yeah, Scotland, like we said.
It's too slow. It's too slow. It's allowing Cyprus to get into the right positions. Patience was a good word, but
Brilliant
they've just
from
got there.
Armstrong,
You
yeah.
go.
That's the
Brilliant
one you want.
from
It's a
your
great
man.
turn from Stuart Armstrong. What are the options? It's into the box. Robertson squared across, and he just can't get there. It was Aaron Hickey, I think, who was in the sort of striker's position, and that's a huge chance for Scotland.
Does AR26 do better there?
Take a little
Should
bit
they
off
do
it.
better?
I think he's with the quality Robertson's got. I think
I think the angle of the pass is what I think he should have just
Yeah.
angled it back a bit. Yeah, he's put it too far in front.
100%. I think Hickey's got a tap in.
And that's a massive chance, isn't it? Chances, we sometimes obsess with sort of shots on target or whatever, but Hickey didn't get there. It doesn't
Yeah.
make it any less of a chance.
But it's positive. The cut open the Cyprus defence there. Robertson getting a great position.
And as you-
It was
to
from
be-
Armstrong being
That's what you
positive,
said, yeah.
going at
You said it,
defences.
Mark. You have to, at some point, if you're playing a team that's sitting back, somebody needs to eliminate somebody.
Yep, here we go again.
And Armstrong's the chance to just pass it to Lyndon Dykes. He takes the shot on.
What'd you say?
A very tame effort, actually, from
Yeah, that's what I said,
Armstrong.
tame,
And
sorry.
Lyndon Dykes was screaming for it on the edge of the box.
Yeah, he chose the wrong option. They had good pressing again, falls him.
Yeah, better
But
from Scotland,
that
much
is-
better.
But going back to you need players against teams like Cyprus who are sitting in and quite happy to go from side to side. You need a player just to take it every now and then and say, I'm going to commit someone and go by him. It creates space. But we've been too slow for the majority of the game. It's side to side, and you do it or pass it on to another player. You do it. Armstrong at that time drives past and creates one of our best chances of the game.
Yeah, and that's excellent from
Brilliant.
McGinn. Again, he takes a couple of players out, plays a big raking pass. There is going to be a double change. Scott McTominay and Ryan Christie coming on. The one thing you would say as well, is a challenge. It's a good squad, but it's not a squad blessed with out and out pace as such. I mean, there's a few guys that can move, and Robertson and Tierney and Adams is no slouch, and if Patterson plays, and we know McGregor can be sharp, but it's not, do you know what I mean? It's not got that proper.
Yeah.
I take on board what Mark says now. I was looking about the squad, about the player that gets you off the seat, that drops your shoulder, 1-on-1's very comfortable. I think it'll be Jack and Armstrong will probably make way for these two coming on. I could be wrong.
Yep, it is Stuart Armstrong.
Yeah.
Off he goes.
Yeah, well done. Thought he'd a decent enough 66 minutes. Been positive.
Yep.
Good ball in for
Played a big part in the
Robertson.
goal.
Yeah. So I think you'll be happy with his afternoon's work.
Scott McTominay going to
not a bad
replace
player
him.
to bring on.
Yeah.
and Ryan
Right,
Jack
yeah.
indeed
Know
off.
your stuff. You know your stuff.
Well, I took teams to finals and semis at Hampden. I know Hampden well.
Yeah, similar.
Get the vibes. I get the vibes from the dugouts.
I think you obviously have to.
Me and the Duff.
You have to take Tuesday into account as well. You know, whether if Scott McTominay is going to start Tuesday, then you need to try and get him some game time. Or if Ryan Jack's going to keep his place, we know Ryan Jack is very unlikely to play 90 minutes Saturday, 90 minutes Tuesday. You know, given the way his injury history's been and so on.
Yeah. I'll be surprised if Jack does play on Tuesday. I think McTominay, the level he's at is obviously above Jack, I think.
But then if he's not given the nod to play today, what's the
guarantee? Well, Cyprus is an easier game.
I don't look at Ryan Jack today
Steve
and think
Clark's not named
I think he's done alright today, Ryan
Steve
Jack.
Clark's not gone out and sort of named a weakened team.
No, but I
against
think
Cyprus,
he's picked certain positions that he could afford to drop guys in to get games. So Jack, I think today played because it was Cyprus. I think if it was Spain today, it would have been McTominay and McGregor in the middle of the pitch. Yeah.
Guess we find out. Scotland into the box. Lyndon Dykes, he goes down. And the ball's just not settling for anyone in there. Scott McTominay sees his shot blocked. How has that not ended up in the back of the net? Lyndon Dykes goes up for a header. The ball's not sitting down for anyone, and with crosses like that from Kieran Tierney out of play for a goal kick, the ball just wouldn't.
Just when they sit for Lyndon Dykes does well. I didn't know if there was a tug on him there, but he goes down his knees. He still manages to work it back to Christie. Christie does so well actually to get the initial knock on. Just didn't fall from.
Couldn't get
great defending.
Two great block. Well, one is accidental because he's lying on the ground, but the first one's an excellent defensive block. You got to give credit there. Christie's 6 yards out.
Oh yeah,
it's a good block.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you, it's good play from Christie because he nods it on to Dykes. Dykes, good backup play. Very strong. He obviously slips, still gets it. I just don't think Christie could get out his feet quick enough. But it's positive, it's good, and that's the substitutions making a bit of an impact right away.
Yeah, it has been better for Scotland. I don't think there's any doubt. Certainly looking more likely to add a second, but got to keep it up now.
Talking about partnerships, we were earlier on. I think Christie and Dykes, when they're playing together, I think they've got a good understanding. I think even there you see Christie knows he just nods it in an area and he expects Dykes to be there, which he is, and then he feeds off him. So I wouldn't be surprised if Shea Adams is struggling. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the preferred option for Tuesday night as well.
He's already picked a team for Tuesday. We're 70 minutes into this game. He's got Tuesday's night lineup.
There's not much happening.
Yeah, Scotland could be doing with a second, that's for sure. It's been
it's not been a classic so far, but the result in the left hand corner is what we're looking at, and we need to start with the 3 points because we know we've got a difficult game against Mark's lineup on Tuesday night.
And there's that one ball that you're just hoping doesn't outdo you, and it certainly doesn't on this occasion. Cyprus for the first time in a while try and play any sort of forward pass, but it goes out of play.
Even the Scotland goalie top's nice as well, isn't it?
Do you think any goalkeepers had a easier debut and 70 minutes than Angus Gunn just now?
What's he had? One save where he had to gather that one slip.
It's barely a save, is it?
Nothing.
Right down his throat. It's a good tune to start your international career. Clean sheet. He's definitely getting a clean sheet. We all know that.
Yeah, well, I hope you're not giving us the Hugh Keevins kiss of death in his absence.
No, not at all. By the way, I did hear last week when I was away, Hugh.
Usual, yeah.
Hugh usual.
Oh, terrible. Terrible.
Making a mess of things, and
we've gave him the weekend off to go to Anstruther and
people in Venice
think about his future.
The guy in the gondola told me in Venice.
Keevins again. We've sent him up to Anstruther to think about his future.
I hope he's having a good time.
He
deserves a day off
wherever he is. He'll have his wind up radio with him. He'll be
some
tuned
man.
in. He'll definitely be saying Scotland are making heavy weather of this. I don't think there's any.
No more goals in the game.
Right. He would be right.
He would be right because let's be honest, it's a bit of a tough watch. You know, there's nothing really to grab you and excite you in this game. And when you think of the quality of players we've got, you know, you've got Andy Robertson, Champions League winner. You've got young Hickey, an up and coming right back in the Premier League. You've got McTominay on now, Chris. All these players, McGinn. And it's still not exciting. That's That's the biggest disappointment for me in this.
Yeah, it's been a poor game of football for me. But I keep getting back to it. The results, the important thing. We've got to kick off our campaign with the 3 points because we know we've got a difficult game.
Great hold up play from Lyndon Dykes. Oh my goodness, he leaps what seems like 8 feet in the air and brings it down in his chest, and sets Scotland on their way, and they're into the box, but it won't drop down. And Alex Goggett shows great bravery, and Scotland might have a bit of defending to do here. And Callum McGregor,
look at this guy.
Is who's going to take one for the team.
We're lucky there.
Kieran Tierney's taking a real sore one, but referee doesn't seem to have noticed.
How quick was he? That's your worst nightmare. In Hampden, that big pitch, someone who's just come on and they've got the run.
Not
in
many
you.
people leave Callum McGregor like that.
Wow, what pace he had there. We'll see you later. He's lucky he's got Hanley there behind him who stands up. He's got Tierney, takes a knock in the ankle.
You know you're beat chasing the guy that's quicker than your head and all that starts going side quicker than what your legs are going. You remember Pearson?
The funniest one
seen you
was
doing
in
that with him.
Kaka in the San Siro, where he was at Lenny. He runs away from Lenny and Paul Hartley. Was it Paul Hartley instead
Should
of
you
Lenny?
not have been covering them?
I was on the bench. I was sitting there going,
Every story starts with you on the bench. No wonder you're not in that bunch.
It was about 119 minutes or something into extra time. No wonder I'm not in that bunch. Aye. Gidgeon.
You can see McGinn was sort of struggling to move in the opposite direction. He was trying to get back in and control that ball, but Aaron Hickey seems to be sort of stretching off as well. Maybe a chance to get Nathan Patterson some game time.
You know, I can almost foresee what's going to happen with the Scotland fans here, and some people will phone in.
Yeah, it's going to be a booking. Ryan Porteous, it was almost a take one for the team type, which is alright sometimes. I think he knew he was beat, so just stuck out a boot.
I was a booking for that offence, but if it wasn't for something so cynical, he may have got booked anyway. It's been a totting up process. He had 3 now, and that's the thing.
Do you
about
not think they look like they're grown into the game a little bit?
Because they've come over the halfway line twice in the last 2 minutes.
I think they're looking
I'll agree with that.
A wee bit of confidence about them now. They've got to 75 minutes in the clock.
Why would you not if you were
their
them?
goalkeeper has not had a save to make in the second half, has he?
That's a good point. That's the most disappointing thing.
I mean, that's the thing though, but I don't know if that's always a measurement, because Aaron Hickey's chance is massive whether the goalkeeper's called into action or not.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. I'm trying to think of the
squared across from Andy Robertson.
The Christie one as well, it's blocked a couple
just in
of
front
times.
of him. So by the way, I agree. This
good play.
This has not been great, but to only measure it.
Wow,
why is that not
not be a foul?
That doesn't help, certainly, because Scotland were on the attack there, and Ryan Christie had nipped it round the outside of his defender.
To be fair, we've been crying for Patterson maybe to come on and get a wee bit more pace down the right. I don't think Hickey's done particularly bad. I think his timing in the back post runs have been very, very poor, but he's getting some. I can't believe this.
Every time I watch international football or European football, I always just laugh at this notion that our refs are much worse than anyone else's, because the fussiness that is on show from this at the moment, Mark Wilson's incredible.
Yeah, it is. And we actually do just need to be careful then, because every likelihood he could give a soft free kick in around the box where Cyprus are being a wee bit more adventurous, like Daz says, and we've come undone. So maybe I'll retract my last statement, my Hugh Keevins statement.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, Scotland are having to defend for the first time.
That's never a foul.
In a long
well
time.
done, McTominay. Stands up to it. He's a good player, McTominay. I think we're lucky to have him. Plays in a number of positions, but best position, middle of the park, brings a composure, can zip passes in, always looking to go forward as well. That's why I think he would have started had it been one of the tougher games in our group today. But good to see Ryan Jack back though in the international scene. I do think he's got a good relationship with Callum McGregor.
I'm just delighted I don't need to go home and watch the highlights tonight. That's a plus.
They're going to struggle.
Also a plus of Jim and Andrew getting out the car park has made me feel good, but it needs livened up a little bit for me. It has been a poor watch.
Yeah, 77 now. Scotland 1, Cyprus 0. That early John McGinn goal, it seems like a long time ago now. It certainly has not been a one that you would have had Scotland worried at any point, but that could still come, because with about 15 minutes left, they're going to be a double change from Cyprus.
I think this is there's Patterson now. Obviously, Hickey did pick up that knock. I think that made that decision quite easy. You see him thinking, right, I better get the limp on now. Yeah, okay, I'll make it really obvious.
Big
You ever
fat
do
for
that,
me.
Mark? You must have done that.
No.
I've done that a few times.
I'd
Getting
quite
sub
true,
for being
Chase.
rotten, just put a wee limp
Put
on.
the limp on.
Get a round of applause.
Get the physio to get
Yeah,
you a nice pack in case the camera went on you.
Tie a bit of ice round my knee.
Aye, he must be injured, the commentator saying.
I've done that a few times.
Brilliant strength from John McGinn. I don't know if it was the pitch or the bad touch from Ryan Christie that then saw the move break down thereafter, and it's now a free kick to Cyprus.
I mean, again, I think that's a soft one. He falls in the ball and picks it up. Old favourite. The referee has no choice then but to give a free kick Cyprus away. If you're Cyprus, you'd like to go more direct now. But
I think this is their plan. I think they're bringing on these two forwards, decent enough players. Got a little bit about them.
Stop it.
17 and 21. But I think they'll be forward thinking players, and they've got to go for it now. 10, 12 minutes to go.
How do you know that?
Because I think that's what his game plan's been from day one. I really do. And I think if you're 1-0 down away from home,
I think
there you go. They're
no,
taking
He's onto something. He's taking
I
goal.
think you're giving too much credit here
to myself.
Yeah, no. You think what we've seen from Cyprus so far, this has all been part of the game plan?
No, I think.
Come on.
No. I think you always come with a game plan, and every manager will tell you. You'll come with a game plan. Now, whether it works or not, it's a different matter. But so far, he's only one down, 12 plus added time. Get a couple of forwards
That's
on
because
there.
Scotland have been slack.
Exactly, but that's not his problem.
Even the subs are taking long in this game. You know, I mean, surely they could have done Hickey as well. We've passed about 3 minutes to make 3 subs. Everything's dry, everything's slow. The pitch is slow, our play is slow, the subs are slow.
If it cheers you up, Celtic are losing the charity match.
Oh,
Then you get knocked
that's-
back.
he'll feel better
What's the
now.
score?
Aye.
What was that starting lineup?
Oh, when I looked at some of the names,
If Trevor Sinclair started, then they need to take a look at
no,
themselves.
he started on the bench.
Here we go, huh?
Yeah.
What a tackle that is. I know it's
Otis.
still 20 odd
You
yards
have
out,
to
but
make it, and I tell you what, Scotland do need to
What did I
defend
tell you
wisely
about?
here. Cyprus are into the box,
What did I tell you, boys?
and they're going to hit this cross in and have to be lively, because this is the most we've seen of Cyprus with 80 minutes gone.
Oh.
I think the flag's gone up.
Offside.
who was offside there? Yeah, just need to be careful. 10 minutes, and you know, it is only natural for players at 1-0 when you look at that big scoreboard and you know the other team gets a wee bit of possession, you automatically somehow take a step back rather than engaging. I guess that's the importance of the manager and his staff on the side, to actually be standing there visible, telling them, look, don't be going backwards, you know, get us up, keep pressing them high up the pitch. They've not got enough pace in behind to hurt us. So hopefully Scotland don't start retreating.
Yeah, trying to get up the pitch with Ryan Christie on this occasion. Referee pulls it back. It's absolutely everything about this, Mark. Understandably, people will criticise Scotland, and fine, but as you say, it's been so stop-start. I mean, Ryan Christie does, to be fair, I think, catch the
pretty
player.
okay.
It's not to say that it's a terrible decision, it's just that everything about this has been stop-start.
Yeah.
You can't, and even if you wanted to play quick, you probably can't on the pitch. The ref's had some mistakes, he's been fussy in others. There have been fouls by both teams. Well, it's been a tough afternoon.
I think Steve Clark, he'll come out and say it's been a frustrating afternoon, but the 3 points are the most important. What Daz has been saying all along, but you can't not be frustrated by what we're watching. The manager can't not be frustrated by that. He's surely wanting a wee bit more from his players on the pitch as well.
Yeah, although I don't think it'll cut through necessarily, but I've seen a lot of campaigns get off to terrible starts, and I remember being held at home to Lithuania in game 1 of a qualification campaign and stuff like that, and you're really up against it because you've only got 1 point. So clearly the priority is to win the match. It would just be nice to do it with a bit more style. I must admit, I'm now still seeing 0-0 tweets on this Celtic Legends game, so maybe I've given you
VR.
Oh no, producer Ross assures me, and it's a Steven Gerrard penalty. You'd have cheered it.
You like that, don't you? You love that.
Stevie Gerrard.
The Wilson family will be applauding that at Anfield as you speak.
Wonder who gave it away.
Whoever it is that took your place.
It's like, oh, what a ball.
It's a good opening that from Scotland. Well done from Robertson to get in and a nice move, but the ball across the face was just too far for Lyndon Dykes.
I'll say I criticised him for the Hickey one. I think that's begging to be put in the back in it. See, as a centre forward, I'd be disappointed I'm not putting that in the back in it. I think that's a tailor-made ball for someone to go and finish it. Brilliant.
A good opening that for Scotland. Actually a nice move to get into that area.
It was just from a throw in, nice and simple. We're in the corner. Who is it? John McGinn again, backing in. Oh, it's a great ball. You just need Dykes to gamble in the middle of the 6 yard
box. A wee
box.
bit quicker. He eventually gets there, but he's too late. He needs to go a little bit sharper.
And McTominay's on the penalty spot. He could maybe have pulled it back, but there's not a lot.
No, I think that's a ball.
Yeah,
there's no chance, and he has to play it at that pace as well.
Yeah.
You know, you can't.
That's a ball, Mark.
Just
all day long. I think if Dykes goes a little bit sharper, he's got the easiest tap in you'll ever have.
I've just seen a clip. So Steven Gerrard scores this penalty and runs off to the Celtic end and gives it big licks as if it's the Champions League final.
They'll be loving that.
I mean, there's supposed to be a sort of camaraderie feel to certain things in these charity games, but I don't know how that will have been will have been taken.
No, not at all.
Anyway,
and I wonder who's up against him. I wonder if it'll get a wee bit, feisty in the middle of the pitch here. Who'll be in there? Petrov will be in there. Ledley will be in there as well. Donati, I've seen Massimo Donati. It's made an appearance
as well. There as well?
Massimo's in. Massimo is a great guy. I love Massimo.
Better period this from Scotland, but just can't just find that breakthrough. But certainly a lot more pressure. It's fizzed into the box again. Robertson involved. Patterson got his first cross.
Oh, get to the gym.
Yeah, Andy Robertson
get to the gym.
Muscled a bit too easily there. That allows Cyprus to come
shoulder
forward.
Press.
And with 6 minutes left, you have to say he could be doing with keeping the ball in the opposition half at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, those are the chances late on that you need to take.
Tell you what, Cyprus on the edge of the box.
Oh, there it is.
I think it's only the second shot they've had. It's another one that's sort of down the throat of Angus Gunn, but had to be saved nevertheless.
I think it takes a nick on the way through as well, which may have made it, I don't know, maybe easier, because maybe it was going.
It did take a nick.
Yeah.
He's right behind that. Do you know, Sam, for a guy that's done nothing for 85 minutes, that's good handling. You'd expect it.
Come on.
You'd expect it.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
You'd expect it, but
what do you expect him to do?
Well, you could.
He's a goalie. He's got hands.
Hold on a minute. I've seen many a goalkeeper stand in the studio week in, week out, coming out. Instead of just catching it, punching it like Superman.
If that is anything other than an easy save, we've got a major problem.
I'm saying his concentration was good. I'm giving the boy a bit of encouragement, a bit of credit. It's his first cap.
He could have saved.
You're sitting there and that's your son. You're up going, oh.
He could have saved that.
Man of match.
He could have saved that without concentrating.
No, he
though.
couldn't. No, he had to be behind that. He could have spilled it. How many goalkeepers have you seen spilling?
Well, you'll be glad to get a touch.
It's funny because this guy, out of all of you on this show, he is the
I don't like
he's the
goalkeepers.
harshest critic of goalies. I can't
like
believe
them.
you're
Yeah.
giving me giving him the credit for that one. But anyway, we're clutching at straws in the closing stages. Well, ironically, Mark, by the relatively low standards, that last sort of 5 minutes has been a bit better for Scotland. They've got in some areas and put some balls in, and just not quite again got the finishing touch. But it's been in a fairly drab second half. It had been a bit better.
It had been. I think when we've made the substitutions, I think when McTominay and Christie's come on, and even Dykes looks like he's fitted in much better than Adams did. I think they do look better. The funny thing is, see, if you had to ask me to pick a man of the match, that's how you can kind of judge where we are. Clean sheet, 2 saves,
8 corners now for Scotland to 0 from Cyprus, and again not even really looked like threatening from them, which is annoying. It's another really high floaty ball, which is
Set plays have been terrible today.
a real bugbear of mine.
Patterson obviously taking no chances there.
Yeah, set plays have been poor.
He's got the ball and he just launches it into Rose Ed.
Yeah, but
he's
in the attacking third.
He's 20 yards out
I've
with a
seen
bit
that
of time.
before.
No, that's a bit strange.
That is wonderful pressing from Ryan Christie, though. Really, really good. And now into the box, Dykes and
terrific.
McTominay's there, and it's in the back of the net finally for Scotland. And there is the gloss that we were looking for. Scotland 2, Cyprus 0, and it's actually a really well worked goal. Great industry from Ryan Christie, closing down a lost cause, putting pressure on, crossing it in. Dykes was off balance, so could just about knock it down, and there arrived Scott McTominay to find the roof of the net and make it Scotland 2, Cyprus 0.
Stole my thunder a little bit. I was just about to say, I agree with Mark. The substitutions have made a good impact. 3 of them involved there. Christie does brilliant over on that right hand side. Doesn't give it up. Wins the ball.
Really well
Gets there. Looks up. Picks out Dykes. And he just lovely, just cushions that. I'll tell you what, it's a good finish.
And actually, I was going to say,
good finish.
You look at the touch mark from McTominay on one thigh, and then finishes it with the opposite foot in the sort of next motion. So on the right thigh, sweeps it in with the left, but it's actually a really good finish.
Terrific goal all round. Daz is right. 3 substitutions there have been the bright spark in the day, and Christie does fantastic. Dykes' header is wonderful because he's actually backtracking, and just to cushion that in. But it's the run from McTominay, the touch, like you say, Gordon, one thigh, and then to swivel and put it in with the other. It's a terrific goal. Exactly what we needed. So 3 points in the bag. Move on to Spain now. And I think, by the way, I know we're making a joke about the team selection for Spain. Those 3 have certainly put themselves in the manager's thoughts come Tuesday night. McTominay, Christie and Dykes, surely in Steve Clark's thoughts.
I did say we needed something different up front. I think Dykes has brought that. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but he cushions that. But see, going back to that goal you're talking about, it was a good move.
Scotland are in again. Here, Andy Robertson.
That's unlucky for the boss.
Exactly.
Right.
That's in Lesser Hampden.
I've seen that movie too many times in a Scotland shirt. He's got so much quality. He's got a chance to shoot, and it is swept way over the bar from Andy Robertson.
Well, there's just too much to pick out what went wrong there.
I don't blame him for taking that on. I certainly would have taken that on.
I think he's even take another touch.
He's a great position. No, I just think it's poor
execution.
Poor execution. Even if he could pass it, he could probably cut it back to Dykes, who's coming in a better position. It goes a bit, but we don't need that anyway. We're in a,
please, Gaffer, don't.
Do you know something? That's what I was just going to comment on. You're looking at McTominay. See his touch on his knee. It's brilliant. It takes away from the defender. Defender now can't challenge him. He kills the defender with that touch, and he fires into the roof of net. Great goal.
Absolutely. So we're in the closing stages then, the 90th minute. Don't know how much will be added on, but it's now Scotland 2, Cyprus 0. I think clearly it's job done. There's no doubt people won't have been ecstatic with the elements of the second half performance, the excitement level, but it's also not really ever been in doubt either, and it's probably something Stevie Clark will look to focus on. It's very easy here. We are proper doomsday merchants, Mark Wilson, and it's not to say some of it's not justified, but there's no point in him and his players coming away feeling down about this. That's just completely counterproductive.
No, of course not.
In a game they've won.
When you start a new campaign, you need to win, especially at home in front of a full house. So that is the positives. That's what we need to take. A clean sheet. I said about Angus Gunn, or whatever goalkeeper comes in, a clean sheet will do us nicely and get us off and running. Like, there'll be bits he'll pick out it and say, yeah, we could be better here and there, but it's a positive start. So, let's be positive. Terrific goal.
McTominay's been good, hasn't he, since he came
on? I think the 3 subs have been decent. I think Christie just shows you his determination, comes on, doesn't give that ball up. McTominay's he's a very good player, McTominay. Let's not be kidding about that. But I think Dykes gives us something different. We're not afraid to play as they come in here.
Yeah, decent enough opening for Cyprus. In fact, it's still not clear yet, so maybe this one isn't over. But Scotland do have bodies back in numbers, and it's a poor shot high into the stands.
But here's my shout: the team that finishes this game today will be the team that starts on Tuesday. I think every one of them.
You think Nathan Patterson plays?
I think he might.
He's not played, remember? Aaron Hickey is.
I think he might. Yeah, I think Patterson might play.
If Shea Adams is fit,
You know what? Right, I get your argument.
You are a
I get your
younger
argument.
version of you.
No, why? Because I'm predicting the team. I think. I
there's
think
no chance.
Dykes. I think Dykes has looked good when he's come on. I think Adams didn't have his best game. Now that's not to say he wouldn't be a better option against me. I just think Dykes has done enough to for the manager.
Do you think you'll keep the same formation against Spain?
Yes.
Do you?
Yep. I know Jim says they may change to a 4, but I think they will.
Scotland just give it away though, and Cyprus come forward into the box. It's headed into there by Patterson. Then some really neat footwork from Scott McTominay helps clear up. He's just brought a composure as well, hasn't he, Gordon?
Yeah, he's got that, obviously. He's not had a lot of game time with Man U, but in the middle part, we've played him in defence. Middle part's his position. He's a talented player. Some people criticise him a little bit, but I think he's got everything in his locker. He's a very, very talented
player. One
player.
of the more blatant fouls you'll see is Scotland look to move away over the halfway line with Lyndon Dykes. I don't think there'll be any great urge. You sense that in a couple of minutes left there could be a third if Scotland fancy it, but I'm not sure the urgency level. As John McGinn goes down, he's going to take that quick free kick, and Ryan Christie looks to play an early ball. Andy Robertson's in again, squares it, and it's a third and a second for Scott McTominay. Now that's a bit more like it. Will we just forget the last 40 minutes? Scotland 3, Cyprus 0, and it's Scott McTominay, a good quick free kick. McGinn released Robertson down the left hand side. It was squared across, fed to McTominay, and just a simple side foot finish into the back of the net. He's come on and got 2 goals, Scott McTominay, and Scotland lead Cyprus by 3-0. Ryan Christie with the cross, I think.
Gave him some build up there, Mark, did he not? But I tell you what, he times it brilliant, didn't he? He just sits on the edge of the box, waits for the ball to come over. Robertson picks him out this time, and side foot, calm as you like. There you go.
I did say there was a third goal in this for Scotland, Mark, if they wanted it. It had that feeling about it.
Yeah, you've got to say the last 15 minutes has been much better than the 75 that's went before that. Substitutions made the difference. McTominay, you can just tell he's a class apart when he comes on. That composure, even in that finish, just a side foot, knows where the goalkeeper is. But 3-0 looks a lot better on the eye for Steve Clarke. So when I was saying 10-15 minutes ago he would come out and say it's been a frustrating day, maybe not anymore.
Yeah, there's about 1 minute left of the additional time, maybe a touch more, depending on what's happened within that.
You've got to say the 3 subs have been excellent since I've come on.
There is some sort of drama.
It's full time, isn't it? Oh, it's a red card.
Tell me it's not for Scott McTominay.
No, it's the man with a mask.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hold on,
Well,
what's happened here?
It's turned to yellow.
The ref had the red card in his hand.
Yeah.
But
well, the man with the mask
confusion.
Iron Mask. Mask man's getting.
There's only 30 seconds left
Take
of this
care
game.
of.
I don't really
Take
know.
care of.
There's just something extra sinister when you say that, to be honest. So we'll just leave it there. Just looking to see off the ball. Oh, right, that's what it is. He's kicked the ball away, which it probably should be a booking. Has the ref actually shown that yellow card or not? Yes.
Aye, he swept his.
Yeah, he has.
He swept his mask off.
He's red.
Diano
Second
has
yellow.
been sent off for Cyprus. It's going to absolutely not impact the game in any way. But Cyprus are down to 10 men. The whistle had gone and he booted the ball away or hit some sort of shot at goal or something in between. Cyprus down to 10.
The ref maybe look at that and just think, I'll just let that go. 3-0 and you're into the last 30
rules are
seconds.
rules.
You
Mark
got to-
Wilson.
it could have been 0-0, Mark.
What difference does that make?
But I wasn't 0-0.
But it doesn't matter. You can't just referee a
He's
game by the
harsh man.
score.
Harsh man.
Oh, it's 1-0. Maybe just give a red. Oh, it's 3-0. I forget that.
Sympathy
That's not the way
decisions.
referees
Aye,
work.
aye. Are they not talking about introducing that rule with stoppage time?
What?
I think that's Pierluigi Collina's chatting about
What, like
that. If a game's 4-0 and there's so much stoppage time just to play the minimum.
The thing, I think that rings a bell. The thing about that is, in league football, that is ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous, because of
Goal
leagues
difference.
can be
Yeah.
won and lost.
That happened to me in the semi-final. They stopped it 75 minutes in. We were getting beat 7-0 with Rangers. I've never been so delighted in all my life.
Yeah, that was for your own good, but yeah, that would be mad. Anyway, we're nearly there at Hampden. I think the full-time whistle's gone. Let's get the story from the National Stadium with Jim Duffy and Andrew Mclean.
Scotland 3, Cyprus 0, the full-time score at Hampden. 3 points to start off this Euro 2024 qualifying campaign. John McGinn and Scott McTominay with the goals. It was a shot on target, both teams early on. Aaron Hickey danced into the box, tested the goalkeeper at the near post before Angus Gunn saved easily from Castanos' effort. And then it was John McGinn who opened the scoring 20 minutes in. Armstrong with a good ball to play, and Andy Robertson through the left. The captain's cross deflected into the path of John McGinn, who was just a couple of yards out, and he finished for 1-0. It was checked by VAR for a possible offside, but the goal stood, and 1-0 it was. Just before the break, a chance for Shay Adams. John McGinn chose to cut it back instead of shooting on his right foot. Shay Adams took the shot, it was tipped over the bar for a corner. It was a slow start to the second half for Scotland, but they started to brighten up after the hour mark. Andy Robertson put one across the face of goal when he maybe should have shot. Stuart Armstrong with a shot from distance that was comfortably into the goalkeeper's arms. Then substitutes Ryan Christie and Scott McTominay, they both had shots blocked in a matter of seconds. The game looked in danger of petering out. Angus Gunn made a pretty comfortable save from distance late on, but Scott McTominay added some real gloss to the win at the end. His first goal came from Ryan Christie, winning the ball on the right, curling the ball into the box. A good header down from Lyndon Dykes, and an even better touch and finish from McTominay into the roof of the net for 2-0. Then right at the death, Scotland took a quick free kick, worked it into the box, and McTominay ran onto Andy Robertson's pass before executing the finish into the bottom corner. There was time for a second yellow card for Nicholas Iyanu, the Cyprus midfielder who was already on a yellow card, decided to shoot from 50 yards after the whistle had already been blown. So he was sent off, but it is a winning start to the qualifying campaign for Scotland. The full-time score is Scotland 3, Cyprus 0, and those two late goals are exactly what this crowd wanted to see, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, obviously finishing with a bang, there's no doubt about that. And listen, you know the guys were saying as well, there wasn't, the most exciting period in the middle part of the game, but when you wear a team down, and we see that time and time again at club football, top teams score a lot of late goals because the opposition have to keep working. And to be fair to Scotland, that's what they did. They dominated possession, they kept the ball moving. They had a couple of half chances to get that second goal and put the game to bed, but it wasn't through the latter stages when McTominay came on, as the guys have said. Fantastic play from Christie, a great little cushion header from Lyndon Dykes, and a magnificent finish. I mean, the thigh control, and then the finish was absolutely top drawer, and then put the icing on the cake with Andy Robertson getting forward, a quick free kick again, but nice and switched on, John McGinn and Ryan Christie, and again McTominay just side footing into the corner. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the scoreline flatters Scotland. I think Scotland absolutely deserved to win 3-0. A convincing performance. As I said, not electrifying at times, but a lot of that to do with the fact is we mentioned the pitch wasn't great. Cyprus basically just sat behind the game and tried to stifle the game, never really opened up at any stage of the game. So Scotland had to be patient. But overall, I think Steve Clarke, he brought in Angus Gunn as a clean sheet. That'll be positive. Ryan Porteous got another game under his belt, a clean sheet for defence. I thought Andy Robertson was terrific, I have to say that. I thought he was outstanding on the left-hand side. We are a wee bit lopsided. Most of our good play came on that left-hand side with Tierney and Robertson, and then Christie down the side, McGinn there as well. A little bit, as I said, not so much on the right-hand side. But overall, Lyndon Dykes getting good time on the pitch and making a real positive contribution. McTominay, the same. So yeah, I mean, they're food for thought for Tuesday, but the first thing they had to do was get 3 points, get a clean sheet, get a good start. That's exactly what happened. Fans will go home happy.
Well, it's a winning start to this Euro qualifying campaign. The full-time score at the National Stadium is Scotland 3, 0 winners.
What did you make of that then? 0141 951 1025. 3 goals, 3 points, clean sheet, winning start to the qualification campaign. That all sounds brilliant. Well, you all would have taken that before the game, I know that as a certainty, but as the guys have said, clearly there were maybe elements of frustration in the second half, but got over the line. So what did you make of it? What worked? What didn't? Who stood out for you? What about the impact of the subs? We may well get some moans and groans about the Hampden pitch. It's quite a common complaint on here. So whatever it is that's on your mind after that, this is the time and the place to get it off your chest. 0141 951 1025. The open line is here. Your chance to have your say. Get in touch and we'll get you on next.
After